Hey, all go. Can you say something?
Hello, this is
Hello.
James Sapansky. I'm a
Okay.
clinical psychologist.
We're live, right?
No,
Okay. Well, that was great.
I
Good.
know. Well, I
Good
know
job.
that now.
Now you know.
Hey, cool.
Might be a fraction loud actually. Just,
Also, I can turn myself down as well.
no. Let me do it. Let me do it.
Yep,
Both do it. Then you'll be double quiet.
No, we don't want
Don't
that.
want. We don't want double quiet. Double quiet.
No,
Hiya.
single
Hiya,
quiet
Leah.
only.
Says hi.
Hey, Leah.
Being single quiet only. Okay. I think everything's working.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
cool.
Okay. So, welcome to the live. Hi, Split Peas, and thank you for sharing the live, Jaden. All right, so we are all good to go. Yeah, I'm just double checking that everything's good. How's the volume, everyone? How's my volume versus James?
Am I overpoweringly loud? Am I double soft?
Okay, I'm just going. Supposedly, self a moderator on this side. Yeah, okay, that's working. Oh my gosh, I can moderate my own chat for once. That is incredible. Hello. Okay. Hi, Sil. Okay. All right, we are all good on the volume. All right, I need to get you invited to the game.
Yeah, that'd help.
For that, I need
Then
to
I can play it.
start the game. House looks.
Mm.
Right,
Oh, and
so
apparently there's Halloween themed things for people who like that sort of thing.
I need. There we go. Perfection. I like my men how I like my pillows. Okay, I won't read the rest of that. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
30 seconds into the live.
Stuffed full of feathers.
Stuff full of feathers. Yes, exactly. No, I don't think that's any better actually. Right.
No, no.
I need to invite you to my game.
Yes.
That. I. Are you in the game?
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
in the game?
Yeah. Have it
Oh,
open.
also, I should
Looking at it right now.
probably. I'm so disorganized. Give me a minute. It doesn't say that you're in the game.
Okay, I don't know how to
Oh, co-op mode on.
change that.
That's why. Okay, this was my fault again. This exact same thing happened last time.
Yes.
I fully. Oh, thank you. Okay. This is a slow start.
No, that one's on you.
No, that one's completely on me. Completely on me. Invite to play. I did it! I did it! I performed a basic video game
Hey.
function.
All right.
Thank you for the gift, Leah. How are we today? We're good.
How am I today? Disorganized.
Disorganized, but you know what? We're here. Was there a bit of time
What else?
blindness? Maybe.
Who can say? You.
I'd say you're just
You can
quoting
say.
the double soft. I mean, that's true. You were just quoting the what James said. Okay, I just need to fix up all my screens. I have a million tabs open, and I just need to make sure that I can see everyone's chat, no matter where we're
That's too
streaming
many
today.
tabs.
That's too many. That is too many. Okay, we did it. We did it. We did it. Delightful. Actually, I should absolutely that. Ta-da! All right. All right, we did it. Now I can actually play a game. That's fantastic. Oh no. Okay, now we're good. We're good. We're good. I did it. I did it, everyone. I did it. Oh, you're starting therapy again after 2 years. Congratulations, I think. Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing.
Hey.
Good job, man. That sounds like
Yeah. That is a thing to be proud of. And a hard thing to
right.
do,
Oh,
but important.
ladder. Is that close enough? Yeah, you can jump off. What is WHS? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna start from the bottom, and
Okay.
I don't know how to control. Oh, that's right. I was using a controller last time. Hey, wasn't I? That makes
Yes.
sense. Let me look in my controller box. Feel asleep. None of these things are controllers. I got it. I got it. I got it.
You definitely have a controller in there.
Yeah, I know. I'm good. Thank you. Perfection. I'm autistic. I struggle with patience, and I have angry outbursts with so much guilt after.
Struggle with patience. Yeah. Okay. So, suggestions. Um,
Yes, I couldn't work out what that was, but suggestions, yes, that makes complete sense.
suggestions makes no sense. Okay. So, I guess the first question that sort of comes to my mind, and I guess the question that you therefore would be maybe a good one to ask yourself is, what is it about um, waiting that bothers you, right? And is it about, because like theoretically it could be a PDA, or pathological demand avoidance, persistent drive for autonomy sort of thing, needing things to be done perhaps closer to your terms or on your terms exclusively, and being made to wait might feel like a difficulty with having to give up said agency or like let someone else be in control, which can be really hard for a lot of autistic people.
And
Um,
then also, like, what comes to mind with patience issues is uh like, sort of depends on the context, right? But like burnout comes to mind, being meltdowny comes
yep,
to mind.
yep. So it could be contextual.
Uh, and like just in general, like having a bit of like an empty autism battery, so to speak. Um,
Mm.
where like angry outbursts can become almost like a defense mechanism. Like, is it
Yeah,
potentially because it's difficult sort of without additional context, but like, is it like just kind of starting every day at your limit?
mm.
Um, and like, I guess it sort of depends on. I suppose we should talk through like each one of those, like the what to do. Yes, the suggestions. Okay, are you there?
I am
Hearing,
sorry. I was
sorry,
just
I was hearing strange
I just
noises.
realised that my yes, sorry, that was because I just realised that my laptop was about to die because the power board was not plugged on,
Oh yeah, that's a problem.
not turned on, which is an issue.
Yeah.
And
So I guess if you're
uh,
starting, if we sort of go through the different James, I thought I lost you. Yeah. If we go
I'm
through
here.
those different causes there, right? So if it's like a case of like you're waking up every day with a bit of an empty autism battery.
Hooray!
Um, oh no, I added a sound when people follow. Uh,
Mm.
and it goes hooray! It's that sound effect.
Yes, that one.
It might be a bit much. We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go.
There we go. Could be fun.
um, I think I can't wait because I can do it myself, and then I feel irritated that I'm doing
Hooray!
everything. I mean, that is a really like classic example of artistic rigidity
Mm.
and possibly some ADHD hyperactivity going on there.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard, right? Because this is one of the areas where like being able to learn flexibility
Hooray!
is really important, um, because it isn't necessarily fair, and I'm sure that you know people might feel this way when they are the ones doing everything. It's not necessarily fair that you should have to be the one to do everything, right? Um,
But if they're
because it
doing
is expected
everything
to.
wrong, James.
But if other people, well, this is the thing: is like, is it actually wrong, right? Or is it that there is a really specific way that you want things to be done, but realistically, and in a very real practical sense, there isn't actually a real difference between right or wrong,
Um, uh,
right?
like The other,
it depends what we're talking about. It really depends what we're talking about.
well, because the other trigger, like I find with this kind of patient, so to speak, is
Mm.
feeling overwhelmed and needing it done now because you need less in your mind. There's too much in your mind. It's running, and it's almost like a bit of like a survival instinct, like a self defense instinct of like I must get this done so that it's off my to do list, so that I don't have to think
Mm.
about it anymore. And so I'm not sure if like to that. Uh, like whether it's coming from like a okay, accurate, yes. And so even though it might not seem like it like comes because when people think of being overwhelmed, they think of like paralysis, but being overwhelmed can also very much present itself as must do everything, it must be done now.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can't tolerate letting it not be done.
yeah, because it needs to be out of the way so I can let it go. But as you might find, there's always something to do.
Yeah, that's about what life is like, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so to say that you're
There's
being
always something.
to say that you're being impatient, and like actually that very much tracks with the angry outburst, right? It's like a defense thing.
Mm.
It's like very possibly like a nervous system crying out for help there, right?
Yeah.
Actually, by my cleaning, don't mind me. And so yeah, so being overwhelmed can look like doing stuff all the time because it's just trying this like big fight to try and not have your cup overflow, so to speak.
Yeah, just frantically trying to bail out the water. Even though like there's actually a pretty consistent amount of water anyway. Like I was speaking about this with a client this week, in terms of it is sometimes necessary to, if where possible, to try to pick your battles. Because some things are very, very urgent and need to be done all at once. Um, Urgency is a relative term, right? And so if everything is equally urgent, that means that nothing is particularly urgent because it's all the same level of importance, right? If things need to be done and they need to be done immediately, if other people, it comes down to why is it that it needs to be done by you? If it's that other people don't do it properly,
Well,
yeah, we have to consider how important
they
it
just
is.
commented there's always something to do. Just feels like I have to do it or it won't get done.
It won't
And
get done or won't get done properly, I guess is the question. If it
well,
says
so
it
if it
won't
won't
get
get
done,
done, like my next thought would be what has led you to believe that? Like
because that could be completely true depending on your circumstance. Maybe you are forced to rely solely on yourself, and there's no one that you can ask for help. There's no one who will help. There's no one like it's unlikely for someone to be that isolated, although very, very far from impossible. It could absolutely be the case, and that's a hard position to be in.
or it could
In
be
which
that
case,
perhaps you were previously in a position where like this is like another
mm,
common thing we said, like where you were let down, like let down
yeah,
in 100 different ways so many times that it's like no, must be done this way.
yeah,
Like a lot of
and
autistic
must be done by
people
me.
need consistency and security, um, uh, stability, so to speak, and sometimes that can very much like come out as um, this need to do it yourself because it just provides that predictability. Uh,
Mm,
but like as you may notice, it can be more harmful than helpful in the long run because you only have so much battery, and there's always going to be something to do. Um,
yeah, so it's really quite tough. Um, if it is the case that there actually are people that can be relied upon to help and to do things, and it doesn't actually have to be you. It just feels like, well, it has to be you, or you believe in that moment that it has to be you. Then it is definitely worth trying to work on that flexibility and recognizing actually there are other people who can help me here. It doesn't
um,
have to be done by me, or it
j-
doesn't have to be done at all. Maybe.
just for chat, I'm just recording all the questions, and we're just going to get to them in the order in which we receive them.
Yes,
Yeah. Um.
it's the fairest way
Uh.
we've found to do it.
Yes, yes. Although on that topic, someone commented, "I'd rather do it myself than admit I can't do it." And it's you can do something and have someone else help you with it, right? Like that's
Yeah.
uh
So that's a dialectic. That's two things that can be true at the same time without canceling
like
themselves out. Yeah, you
yeah,
can do
yeah,
it.
you can do it.
Um,
Doesn't have to be you.
doesn't have to be you. And I think as well, like, if it's a question of like, oh well, I'll feel bad if it's not me. Well, it kind of sounds like you're signing up to feel bad anyway, right? Like it's going to feel bad if it is you too. So which bad is better?
Yeah, if we can keep the is there a limit to topics we can ask, like TikTok guidelines? If we can keep it like PG, if we can, in
Yeah,
terms of the
keep it
comment
safe. Keep it
and
safe for work.
yeah, safe for work, and we are only able to discuss topics of um.
Sort of general sort of
Hooray!
stuff. Like we can't give you like targeted personal advice because we just don't know you. And it would, and also there'd be questions of like confidentiality and
Yeah, yeah, and things like
not the
that. Yeah,
appropriate
yeah.
forum.
Um,
So we
yeah,
might not
not
be able
not
to
not an
answer your
ethical
question
thing,
like
so to
too
speak.
specific.
And then also we can only like with TikTok guidelines, right? There's like some like more extreme themes in mental health, which we can only discuss in a really general, limited capacity. And we also have to like moderate our chat to keep those themes like limited to. Um, uh, it's hard to ask for help and then feel like they're not enjoying helping.
Well, I guess again, how important is it that the helping is enjoyed? Like, I often will help people, like friends and family and things, and it's not about enjoyment. Like, I'm not having fun
Well,
doing the thing. Um was it when was it?
I
Wednesday. I helped someone do gardening. I hate gardening
you do hate gardening.
with a passion. Like,
Yes.
I find it upsetting. So I didn't enjoy helping in the moment, but I enjoyed having been helpful.
The other thing as well is that it's very common because autistics can struggle like so much with social interaction and like other just kind of day to day difficulties. It's very common for us to rely on doing things for other people, being functional for other people in a very specific way. Um, to feel secure within a relationship,
Mm.
and to feel yes, to feel secure within your relationships, right? And so it's like, oh no, if they're not enjoying the helping, then they may not enjoy me, right? Like that's not necessarily saying that's what's going on here, but like that's a really like a really common train of thought where it's like you rely on the ways in perhaps which you do function and things that you are good at for your sense of self-worth rather than having sort of like an inherent sense of self-worth. Um, are we all psychiatrists or psychologists? Just curious what your scope is for those on the spectrum. James, do you want to go through your...
Yeah, so I'm a clinical psychologist, which means in Australia, which means I have a master's in clinical psychology. So I am a psychologist who specializes in the area of clinical psychology, which is the area of assessment and diagnosis of
Sorry, I did skip ahead to that question,
broader
but I'm
disorders.
just... That was a sort of important one to address, I think, before we
That's a really
easy
quick.
to...
That's a really
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I focus on both assessment um, of mental health disorders and some neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and ADHD. But I also focus a lot on therapy. What I do not do is I don't have anything to do with medication. I know about medication because it's something I'm interested in as a person, and it's relevant to what I do in my work. But I don't prescribe, and I can't give like medical advice in terms of medications, right? Because that's not an area of it's not an area in which I'm qualified to really sort of address. So that would be the domain of a psychiatrist, which is a medical doctor who specializes in the field of psychiatry or like mental health medicine, basically. Um, So that's my thing. Tash, on the other hand,
Uh,
um,
I'm a psychotherapist, and I also have a master's degree in that, and I am registered with the Australian Counselling Association, and I have years of experience in providing therapy to
Hooray!
autistic, ADHD, and otherwise neurodivergent adults and children, and a couple of years' experience in a few in assisting in the assessment. Um,
yeah.
all right, on to the next one. Well, we sort of didn't kind of conclude the other one there, like what to do about it, right? Um, uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like
Important to actually
what are
answer
the
that.
actual suggestions there?
Um,
Okay, cool. What do I do about it? Let's see. Um, uh, well, I mean, anger is. I've spoken about this in previous streams, right? Anger is like a secondary emotion, right? People get angry because they're having another emotion first, right? So, if your friend says you're a jerk and you get angry about that, like you get angry because you're hurt, right? And if you're in line at a grocery store and you're late for something and the old lady in front of you is paying in 1 cent coins and you're getting a bit angry about that, you might be angry because you're anxious, right? Like the anger comes from that anxiety. And so my suggestion there would be, what's the underlying emotion there that is triggering that anger? Because that's really telling about what you should do. Because a lot of people try to address the anger directly, but it's
mm,
often a lot more effective to address the underlying emotion leading to that anger. Um,
yeah. I mean,
uh,
anger is, you know, part of your sympathetic nervous system response, which really kicks into gear when you're feeling under some sort of threat. Um, a lot of the time, the emotion
Hooray!
underneath anger, although not exclusively this, might be some sort of fear or anxiety. Um, but basically, there's some sort of threat that you've perceived to something, right? So, like, it might be to your autonomy, it might be to your sense of self or your sense of integrity. It could be to safety, but
Thank you for the
it
gift.
could be any number of things. It could be any number of things, and that can be difficult then to work past if you're stuck in the anger. So yeah,
Yeah,
figuring out what is underneath that anger, where it's coming from, that can really help.
yeah. And yeah, and then instead of trying to directly address the anger in the moment, it's more like long-term background addressing the underlying one. And you'll often find that the anger like tends to sort of self-resolve from that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, because if you can address the underlying issue, then the anger itself will go away, it will sort of evaporate
yeah, and it's like
because the underlying problem has been solved.
yeah, and just really examining. Okay, cool. What is the cause of this like hyper independence? Like what's there like within you that is driving this need to do it yourself?
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm going to
copying.
point out that these kind of questions are much easier to answer with a good therapist,
Yes.
right? With a counselor or a psychologist, um, who can, because of the fact that they have an outside perspective, the fact that they are not in your head, um, means that they might have a different perspective that you hadn't considered because you might be too close to the problem.
And like things like techniques like breathing exercises and such, like yeah, cool. They can be like very useful in the moment, like to a certain degree. But if there is a problem with anger, like no one's anger problem has ever been solved by just breathing exercises.
Like, I say this as someone who is a big fan of breathing exercises because it is basically biofeedback, right? You're inputting a signal into your body, which is to lower heart rate and calm your breathing down and induce muscle relaxation and basically engage your parasympathetic nervous system, which turns off your fight or flight response. Um,
Hooray!
and that helps you to feel calmer in the moment, which then helps you to
Thank you for the follow.
do something about whatever the problem is. Right? So that stuff is really, really helpful, but it doesn't solve the underlying problem of why you react in the way that you react.
Oh, we had Tamagotchi time triggered. Oh my goodness.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't
Well,
even
better
click.
get on that.
Yeah, I need to eat. I'm gonna eat. Give me a second. Yes, Tamagotchi time is a moment of self-care for everyone.
Yes. So that's for everyone. So
I'm
anyone out there who
I'm ingesting calories so I don't starve to death.
yeah. So anyone out there, if you haven't eaten recently, have something to eat. If you haven't had a glass
Leah,
of water recently,
there's
maybe do.
hydration and then there's hydration. Okay. Thank you for the gift. Thank you, Tommy. All right, next question. I have an appointment with a psychologist who did my DID and ASD diagnosis. I'm wanting to investigate medication, and therefore I know it's probably better to go to a psychiatrist.
Yep.
Like for ADHD. Would you have any suggestions? And can stimulant medication make trauma presentations worse?
Ooh. So stimulant medications are pretty like the evidence base for stimulant medications for for ADHD is really good, and which is why that's what the prescription usually is stimulants. It shouldn't really have a specific impact on trauma presentations because that's not really.
Well, I'd like to go the way that question was specifically asked, like what you said is true, but one thing that can be quite common after you start stimulant medication is not so much that it makes trauma presentations worse, but that shortly after starting stimulant medication, right? Like your brain's been absolutely starved of dopamine and norepinephrine, right? For potentially your entire life, and all of a sudden it has these chemicals that it needs to sort of regulate and feel a bit and feel a bit better, right? What can happen is that your brain suddenly, like your nervous system suddenly feels just a little bit safer. And if there's any kind of like trauma that you've like potentially been repressing or dissociating from, your brain, like that's a survival technique that all human brains can use to protect themselves from traumatic events, right? And then if your brain is suddenly feeling safer, it's like, oh, maybe I don't have to push this stuff down so hard. Maybe it's where you're safe enough to deal with it. And so trauma can surface in a way it hasn't previously. But and that can be very, very difficult, right? Because you're just like, oh my gosh, my brain suddenly has this like freedom to do the thing it was meant to do, and now I have to deal with this. But it's a good sign. It's a healthy process. It's your brain being like, oh, yeah, you can handle this now. But it can certainly look like on the surface that like your trauma has been exacerbated, and it's like, oh, like it's closer to rather you're taking a step towards greater healing.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people who, have come to me and said, "Oh, I feel like I'm getting worse because I'm having memories come up that I don't really want to be experiencing, or
Like, well, no, your brain has decided that you are safe enough. You feel safe enough that you can handle those memories now. Like, no one's nervous system has like long-term benefited from having repressed memories,
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that like you emotionally feel ready to deal with it. You might absolutely not want to deal with it as yet because it might be very painful or scary, and that makes perfect sense. But neurologically,
no, I have recorded the questions. We're just answering them in the order in which we've received them. But I have checked, and the EMDR question is on my list. Sorry, continue, James.
And so yeah, neurologically, it might be time to start working on that. And you might be in a place where you're feeling safe enough to actually engage.
It's Tamagotchi time again!
Again, my goodness.
Holy crap. Yeah, it's every 10,000 likes, so
Goodness. Okay, cool. Well, yeah.
Okay, I
keep-
have said hooray a few times. It's a stim. It's an echolalia that lives in my everyday life, and I thought I would infect everyone
That's
else with
true.
it. You're welcome.
Yes, because what?
I'm gonna go
why
get
not?
myself an actual glass of water.
I think that's a great
Give me a
idea.
second. I'm gonna put Sergeant Squishmallow at the heel, okay?
Why not? Why not? I mean, might very well touch a thing. He's a bit like that. Now, I'm sure that. So I can see the chat, but I can't see the. I can see the questions, but like they're all like, I don't want to answer anything out of order, because that doesn't qualify. So we're just gonna wait. We're just gonna wait, and that's I don't know. Is that good? Is that bad? Who can say? I'm just flailing now. I don't know how to do this by myself. Okay. There we go. Dash is back now. All right.
I have returned.
There you are. Good, because I
Alright.
do not know how to
Hooray!
how to do this by myself. So
Okay, that's okay. I'm just gonna double check that I have not missed any
oh, I bet you have.
I have.
Yeah.
Okay, alright, moving on to the next one then, yes? Yes.
Yes. If you have concerns about how the ADHD medication might affect you, talk to the psychiatrist you're going to speak to. Raise that concern with them. They'll have thoughts that could hopefully be helpful.
Okay, the next one is
Hooray!
together, because it... Right, okay. Hooray! Why am I failing at things more after I've been diagnosed earlier this year? Like,
Oh.
Uh,
Tash, do you want to talk about skill regression?
yeah. So,
You have good thoughts on it.
thank you. Yeah. So, a lot of people who get assessed for autism and ADHD, right? Like, the assessment process is expensive. It's stressful. It takes a lot of energy. There's sometimes very long waiting periods for it, and it's very nerve-wracking, right? Very few people do it for fun. To do it to have a good time, right? Like, if you're at that point, whether you get diagnosed or not, something's going on usually, right? Like 9 times out of 10, even and like something not great's going on typically. And it's usually indicative with late masking people that like someone's sort of getting close to their limit anyway. Like if you're investigating at this point where you're putting so much time, money, effort, energy into like something's happening, right? Oh, thank you for the roses. Oh my goodness. Oh goodness, all these gifts. Holy, I was gonna say this crap. There
Don't
we go.
swear. Don't swear.
The crap's fine. Crap's fine. I thought about it for a second and I said crap's good.
Crap is fine.
Crap
Yeah.
is fine.
Crap.
Crap. No.
Skill regression.
Skill regression, yes. And on top of that, when you find out that like you were born autistic or ADHD, right? Like you didn't just acquire it, you were born this way and it's been impacting you for your entire life. Okay, cool. Now you might be able to access supports and such, but there's a heck of a lot to process there, right? There's potentially decades of your life where like knowing kind of would have helped.
Just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah. And there's so much processing to do, and it's something that's been thrust upon you when you're like probably not too far from your limit anyway. and all of a sudden, like, your attention is like things that you may have had trouble with previously that were just sort of uh, an accepted part of your existence. Suddenly, like, oh my gosh, why do I feel really bad right now? It's the really loud sound over there. Whereas before, you wouldn't have even sort of considered it as a possibility. You just would have felt bad and not know why.
And white knuckled
Um,
your way through it. Yeah.
yeah, and your specific attention is drawn to it. Like, that's makes it harder to ignore, and you have less energy. Like, that's just one example, right? Um, and really, typically for autistic and ADHDers, I'd say like more specific autism, when your system is under stress, you can experience very severe skill regression. Um, not just skill regression, um, uh, but also like when under extreme stress, like that can trigger like various other autistic comorbidities too. Uh, and like whilst like diagnosis and accessing supports is like the long term path to making your life easier, like uh, very commonly you do see a bit of a skills regression dip, and uh, it can take a little bit of time just to find your feet again after that.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for people to realize that, like take cooking for example, right? Cooking might be something that someone really enjoys doing, um, but it might also be something that they do maybe more for other people than they do for themselves. Um, and it's positive in that you're meeting someone else's need, which is not inherently a bad thing. Um, and you might also be making yourself feel useful, or depending on experiences you might have had, maybe feeling useful is very important to your sense of self or to your sense of self-worth. Or do I feel worthy of being loved because I do things for other people? And then realizing I maybe don't have to do that stuff anymore. Suddenly it becomes really hard to do that sort of stuff, and to
It,
the
it,
point where you had capacity previously, suddenly you might not.
it's also really
Um,
difficult, like especially for gifted presentations, where typically with like a gifted
yeah,
autistic, like it's so easy to grow up with your sense of self worth dependent upon your function, right? Like, how did you get recognition when you were a kid? You did well in school. Like, um, like how did you get like recognition as an adult? You performing in a specific way at work, right? And now you suddenly lost that. Like, um, uh,
that can be really difficult
yeah, like it's kind of like
to adjust to.
an extra blow, really. And it's just like a very sort of response because it's like, well, where's your self worth now? Like you still have it, but that's like everyone has like inherent self worth, but you didn't grow up relying on your inherent self worth. You grew up relying on how you can for other people. I can divide them
Yeah,
between.
like your connection to your self worth and your feelings of self worth are different to your actual self worth. Because you have self worth, whether you feel like you do or not. It's not up to you to determine whether or not you have self worth. You just do. Too bad. Deal with it. You are worthy. Um,
Oh, I will keep
but
calling everyone out. I assure you.
but it is, you know, uh, a separate thing as to whether or not you feel like you've got self worth,
And
and so
so
that can come under attack.
yeah, and so like it's more extreme cases, but even like I guess what's framed as like selective mutism happen after in like the post diagnostic period. And it's not like okay because you got diagnosed, it's like okay your system reached a particular threshold with stress, and we're sort of heading in that way usually anyway because like that's how you ended up in an assessment room. Something's not going right. There must be an
Hooray!
explanation, right? But yeah. All right. Where are we? Um, is it normal to be anxious after doing an autism diagnosis? Take that one.
Uh, okay, so I'll answer.
Hooray!
I'm going to say something first, and then I will answer the question. Um, I don't love the way that, and I do this too. So this is not a criticism of anyone in particular, because I think it's a typical thing to do. Asking is it normal? I'm wondering whether the actual meaning behind that question is it okay for me to feel this way? Is it a bad thing
Well,
that I might feel this way?
because like I
Like,
mean,
is it normal? As in, is it common? Absolutely, it's common.
I think there's
Because
going to always be like an association with high masking people, right? That normal is okay, right? Because that's what
yeah,
was drilled into your head like growing up, right?
oh yes,
That's not normal.
absolutely.
That's not okay. You need to change that.
Therefore
Yeah.
that's bad.
And I think that's
And
like
so like
really the big source of like, is that normal? Like you need to know, is this okay? Like that's what you're asking.
yes, but
I mean, not
but I
necessarily.
guess
It
my
might
point
be,
is that
but yeah.
my point is more that like if the actual question that we're really asking is it okay for me to do this? It's worth being
Hooray!
really upfront with yourself that that's the actual question that you really want to ask, that you might be actually afraid to ask out loud. Because if the answer is no, it's not normal,
Hooray!
you weirdo,
Leo, are you around?
then it might be a really scary thing to actually ask. But maybe it's a very important thing to ask. Now, in terms of is it a common occurrence? Is it a common experience to feel anxious after an autism or any sort of mental health assessment? Yes, it's a very common occurrence. And by that response, then yes, it is normal. Um, but because uh, of course you might feel apprehensive about what the outcome is going to be, because typically
Thank
you
you,
walk
Leo.
out of the assessment, you don't necessarily get the outcome on the day, because usually your clinician is going to have to actually like collate all the data and do some sort of differential diagnosis where they're considering, well, what could this be? Is this the most accurate answer? Is there a better explanation that might be different? And that's all very responsible of them to do, and that takes some time.
I'm recording all questions. I'm writing all questions down. Actually, I was meant to add this in next time. I'm recording all questions down. We're just answering them in the order that we receive them. So if you've asked a question in chat, I'm getting to it.
We'll get to it.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
So is it okay? It's absolutely okay. It doesn't mean that you're being silly or that your anxiety is based in probably a fear of like most people come in with a working hypothesis that they are autistic, and
I mean, yeah,
in a lot
you wouldn't want to be like putting yourself through that much stress and paying that much money if you strongly doubted that, right?
yeah, and it's usually not idle curiosity either. People who are getting assessed have been thinking about it for some time. So most people have an outcome that they're hoping for. Most people have an outcome that they think is going to be what it is. And they might have a lot riding on that outcome because they really want an explanation. Why am I the way that I am? And especially the people who come to see us are people who have been told maybe very unhelpful and uninformed things, like, oh, you couldn't possibly be autistic because you don't look autistic.
We got a
Oh, I have
really,
a
really, really important question that absolutely.
okay.
What's your?
So I'm just going to wrap this up just
Yeah,
by
yeah.
saying
Sorry. Yeah, yeah.
it's totally not. Yes, it's normal as in it's common. Yes, it's normal as in it's okay. Um, it's the trick is to do things to help you feel less anxious until you can get the actual report, which will sort of hopefully allay some of those fears because it'll give you the answer that you're looking for. Or an answer, not necessarily the answer you're looking for, but it'll answer the question.
I am going out of order, so but this is very important.
Okay.
What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal is the binturong, which is a type of Indonesian bear cat. They smell like buttered popcorn,
Oh,
and
I remember you telling me about this.
they look like giant weasels, and they are giant, grumpy weasels that have just woken up from a nap, and their fur and whiskers are all scraggly, and I just want to hug one.
Uh,
That is my favorite animal.
this is Powerwash Simulator. Yeah. Okay. Good. I just
That was
wanted to make sure
extremely important.
that was very important and relevant, and I will never not. All right. Um. Okay. Um. CPTSD and ASD. What's a trauma response and what's an ASD trait? Can you talk about how these made?
Mm, that's again a really really good question. Um, so
Oh, my priorities are completely sorted, Leah. I assure you. Everyone needed
so
to hear about the
CPTS
binturong, and I will not hear anything else.
So CPTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Um, well, first up, I want to quickly just address how CPTSD is different from regular PTSD or simple PTSD. Um,
And I assure you,
so,
PTSD is never simple.
and that's the thing. And so
I
simple
hate the
PTSD is more
wording. Like,
difficult.
yeah.
Hooray!
But
Hooray!
so with your sort of more common diagnosis of PTSD, or the more well-known diagnosis of PTSD at least, um,
Hooray!
there needs to diagnostically have been what's referred to by clinicians as a category A event, and this means exposure to real or actual. I suppose the TikTok-friendly language would be real or actual unaliving. Um, and so that could be, SA, that could be a car accident or motor vehicle accident, that could be military combat, or natural disaster, something where you or someone close to you might have or did, well, not you, but or someone you know did actually pass away,
Hooray!
potentially
I just want to be like, but
violently.
what if your heart stopped? That's the one specific
Yeah,
circumstance that
absolutely.
breaks the
Yes. So
rule.
that so that yeah. So no. So if your heart stopped, that is a threatened passing away, right? That's a threatened version of that. So yes, that would absolutely count. Um, if it's not that, if you don't have this category A event, then you automatically don't meet criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder specifically. You might meet criteria for some other um, post-traumatic stress disorder that isn't PTSD, because there are a bunch of others. But that's what regular PTSD is. Complex PTSD is where someone experiences the rest of the symptoms of PTSD. So, like, the difficulty remembering parts of the traumatic event, the intrusive symptoms like
Hooray!
nightmares or flashbacks,
Hooray! Thank you for
or
following.
intrusive memories, the negative alterations to mood, avoidance of reminders of the event, etc., etc. But rather than there being a single category
Hooray!
A trauma,
Hooray!
there are in fact multiple ongoing um, uh, events that would not count as a category A event. I tend to refer to these as small t traumas as opposed to capital T traumas. And the difference is that a small t trauma just happening once might not have any effect on someone long term. Because it could be something like, um, a parent not listening to your needs
Hooray!
one time, or a friend ignoring you to speak to the person that they are crushing on at school, or something like that. Something fairly low level, unpleasant, but not awful.
I think we missed a
Or a
spot.
teacher who wasn't nice to you. Did we miss a spot? Did we miss a significant spot?
Oh, yes.
Where are we? Let me come to that. So the thing that makes complex trauma,
Oh, wow. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for all the gifts. Oh, my goodness.
if those low-level small t traumas occur again and again and again, if they are repeated and chronic over long periods of time, then what we actually understand now is that that is just as traumatic as single capital T traumas. And so one issue is that it is difficult to differentiate autism symptoms and
Thank you.
and
Holy crap.
CPTSD symptoms, because a lot of people with autism,
Thank you.
a lot of autistic people rather, have probably experienced a certain amount of complex trauma, because they've probably experienced a lot of social ostracism. They've probably experienced a lot of rejection or negative judgment. They've often had difficulties
I know
with
it.
relationships, and even just
There we go. That
like
would've
exposure to aversive sensory things can end up being like trauma. So when we're talking about differentiation of symptoms, there's things that are unique to autism that we don't see in CPTSD, like circumscribed interests, sensory
Thank you.
sensitivities, sensory interests,
We're
or
getting so many
sensory
gifts right now.
sensitivities. that
Sorry.
have nothing to do with the particular trauma, right? Or that have nothing to do with the traumatic events themselves. Some of the social stuff is really difficult to differentiate, and so we're looking at those uh, autistic category B symptoms, so restrictive and repetitive interests and behaviors, and how that looks compared to a typical understanding of PTSD or CPTSD. Now, you don't have to be autistic to have had CPTSD. CPTSD can occur in anybody, although it is quite
Tamagotchi
common.
time! We have to something to take care of ourselves right now. I'm drinking water.
I'm going to finish this question, and then I'll.
And then you do Tamagotchi time. It's the rules. Don't break the rules.
I'm not. I'm just not obeying rules that I don't care about.
Right. I mean, you don't have problems like eating and drinking. To be fair, that's me.
No, that's well. I mean, I do a bit, just not as badly as other people.
Anyway,
because I can forget. So the main differentiating factor is the looking for symptoms that are unique to PTSD, like a lot of the restrictive, repetitive behaviors, and trying to pull those apart from how they could be related to trauma. Okay, that's the answer to that question.
I like this Tamagotchi time idea. How can I improve life? I don't know. Like, works for me because of the immense social pressure of everyone watching me. It's like, well, I said I was going to do it. Now I have to do it.
Yeah, so you can hijack your sense of social shame by telling someone that you're going to do something. No, seriously, this is a really good strategy because, like, social shame not great. However, if we're going to experience it, we may as well experience it. We may as well use it for something good, right? So, if you tell someone that you're going to do something, that actually does make it more likely that you're going to actually do that thing, and so it is therefore useful to hijack that. So, if you tell someone you're going to eat and get a glass of water, you're more likely to actually eat and get a glass of water.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me. I'll be like, yeah, I will in just a sec, and then it doesn't.
It doesn't work. So it doesn't work for everyone, but it can help for some people, depending on how susceptible to it you are.
It'd be really good. You can make an app, and everyone contributes likes to it, right? Like you join like a group, and like, and I mean, it's dopamine, like not likes necessarily, but like you tap, right? And then when you tap, you have to take care. And so do it. You sign up with your loved ones because you care about them. Like I don't think about me eating; I think about James eating, right? And so I would tap on the app to make sure that he's taking care of himself.
Yeah.
It's all hold each other accountable.
So, but that requires like.
Thank you. Good for taking care of yourself, everyone.
So I think that it's like there are ways that you can sort of gamify that, but the specific way we're doing Tamagotchi time is because we've got this arbitrary trigger, which is the what is it, 10,000 likes?
Yes, every 10,000 likes, I will do something to ensure that I do not die. To confirm, would we need a psychiatrist once we diagnose for any treatment?
Well, it depends what kind of treatment you're talking about. If you're talking about medication treatment, depending on what it is, then yes.
Hooray!
Clinical
Hooray! Thank you for the follow.
Therapists cannot diagnose. It is not something that we do.
Yes.
We're authorized to do in Australia, so has to be done often by a psychiatrist or at least a GP.
A boop? That's not very
specific.
specific.
Really depends what it is. Really depends on what it is. If you're talking about ADHD medication, absolutely you would need to see a psychiatrist as well.
But how that's yellow, but the boot's yellow. This is so toxic.
For this reason, we don't typically assess just for ADHD because it is more economically viable to just go straight to see a psychiatrist. You just have to pick a good one who really knows their stuff with ADHD because most psychiatrists know a little bit, but not everyone sort of has it as their main area of expertise.
And especially because they changed that. Thank you for, oh my goodness, gifts. Especially because they changed the diagnostic criteria in 2013, to make it more accurate, based on like the latest research, right? and our understanding of particular time masking presentations has like dramatically increased since then. And not every psychiatrist is kept specifically up to date with those developments.
Yeah, again, if it's not their specific area of interest, then they might not have kept as up to date as they potentially could have. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, broadly speaking, yes, you'd want to see a psychiatrist if you're looking for medication treatment. Yeah. If you're looking at therapy, if you're looking at like talk therapy treatment or behavioral therapy treatment, then you might be thinking about a psychologist or a clinical psychologist or a counselor, potentially an occupational therapist, depending on what it is that you're looking at.
Georgia, you are not next, but the one after.
Hey,
Are there any topics that we're interested in learning about at the moment?
that we're interested in learning about, like professionally. So I am building my skill set in EMDR because it's something that I find very exciting.
Like the
Um,
next question, then.
I probably will. I'm also therefore looking into integrated family systems, which or part or sometimes called parts work, or at least parts work is related. Um, and this is often used for things like DID, which is not an area of expertise of mine at the moment. Might be in the future, who knows? But it's really relevant for trauma work, which I'm doing a lot more of these days, and also relevant for really any mental illness. So I think it's really exciting. That's the sort of like the area that I'm really delving into at the moment, because it's exciting and interesting, and has grabbed my attention in a way that is exciting for me and motivating for me. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
All right. Any topics that I'm interested in learning? I'm going to go completely one that's not related to this at all. I'm learning Swedish at the moment.
You are learning.
One of
Okay,
my
good.
current special interests is Sweden. That is all.
Yeah,
Thoughts on EMDR? There you go. That's the next question.
cool. My thoughts on EMDR is that it might be one of the biggest steps forward in modern psychology in the last 100 years. I think it has, as a model, as a therapeutic model, the adaptive information processing model, which the shorthand version of that is that um, any and all mental illness has as a factor, not necessarily a causal factor, but has as a factor improperly coded and processed memories, and that the reprocessing of those memories can result in permanent resolution
Oh.
of symptoms.
There, we did it. We did it. We did it.
So we're talking like not just putting things into remission, but
Oh,
actually
yeah.
completely resolving, um, things, which is obviously very exciting. So that said, EMDR is a difficult therapy to do. It requires you to really confront possibly very painful, very scary memories. Not everyone is ready for that. You sometimes have to do a lot of prep work to get
Swedish dude.
to a point where you can do
Hooray!
that without
Hooray!
re-traumatized, without it. Obviously we want to keep you safe while you're doing your therapy, and so it needs to be done properly.
Yes,
So it needs to be done
Vic,
with
you can
someone
add
who is
a question.
trained. It needs to be done with someone who knows what they're doing. EMDR is really the efficacy rates are fantastic. The remission rates are extremely low following EMDR, which is great.
Oh, I feel so. Oh my God! Look at all the gifts again. Ah, thank you.
But it
Penny,
is also,
Penny.
a very sort of, it's a difficult therapy to do emotionally. It sort of is very effective, but it can be emotionally draining, and you need to be prepared appropriately psychologically to be able to get it done.
All right. Is there a reason I have weeks of feeling like things are really good, and then a few days of super doubt and depression. Ooh,
Um,
I want to say two things there.
yeah, okay. Well, why don't you say your two things? My God, this place is filthy. Um, yeah.
Yes. So
Sorry. Please, you say your thing.
there are often two different things that come immediately to mind when someone tells me this. So, like, that's really common with autistic. And few days of super doubt and depression can be what a meltdown looks like, or a shutdown looks like for.
Yeah.
And some autistic people have meltdowns every day. Some autistic people have meltdowns once a week.
Very
Some
rarely.
have like none at all really. Oh my god, fireworks and the other thing that comes immediately to mind, during a meltdown and a shutdown, those kind of feelings are really normal. And it's one of the reasons why autistic people get misdiagnosed with bipolar a fair bit, because it's like I'm feeling fine one day, I feel awful the next, or borderline personality. Um, it's like another common diagnosis, and you can have both of these, any combination of them. Because a meltdown can just be like seemingly for no reason, you just suddenly feel this way, and then like an hour, a day, a couple of days later, it's like actually um
Except there probably is a reason.
what's that? Oh,
Except,
I know certainly in my experience, right, like a meltdown can come from 1,000 little
yeah. Yeah.
rather than
My, it's more that I'm saying that it's never the case that there was no reason. The reason might not be obvious, and you may never find out the reason for a particular meltdown, because there might be too many factors to be able to reasonably consider. But it never happens just because, right? There was something that happened that triggered it. Maybe a lot of somethings, but it
second
wasn't
thing
completely random.
I want to talk about with that is if
Mm.
you are autistic and you're female, you're a haver of ovaries, um, uh, an
An
extremely
experiencer
common
of menstruation.
co-occurrence is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, um, which in most cases you feel fine until um,
When
the
you're
the
looking at males.
days just before your period starts, and just have a complete which then resolves a few days after your period starts. Now, in more extreme versions, that can go for longer. Um, uh, but it's not just like moodiness; it's like will to live questionable that period, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it can be very serious.
um, James, you based in Sydney. Tried to Google it. Parramatta. Yes, our physical office is in Parramatta. We do telehealth Australia-wide.
Also, Sydney is, Sydney incorporates Parramatta. Parramatta's a suburb of Sydney, so it's not technically a separate place. But Sydney is also huge.
And so then, like, I guess our advice with that is if it's your meltdown cycle, like becoming like really familiar with, okay, this is what a meltdown feels like, and these are the things that help me feel better during. Because soothing yourself during a meltdown is very different can be really different to the methods of helping yourself cheer up when you're stressed. Like two different things. Different things. Um, all right, good luck, Tommy. Oh, ta-da! Oh, wait, that means it's Tamagotchi time. All right, we got to take
Yeah.
care of ourselves. And thank you for the gifts, everyone. I'm drinking more water. I'm so hydrated right now.
The most hydrated you ever been.
Yes. Do you know? Oh, sorry. Next one. Can a psychologist help with behavioral therapy?
Yes. There you
Hello,
go. Short answer. Yes,
Meowgical.
they can. Yes, they can. So any appropriately qualified psychologist, as in any actually qualified
Button.
psychologist,
Oh no.
can help with behavioral therapy, depending on what it is that you're attempting to work on. But yeah, absolutely.
Oh, also, I should do the Also, if you are enjoying this live stream and haven't already, follow.
Yeah,
That's what I have to say.
helpful.
Yeah, helpful. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Good. That's all I had to do, right? Yeah, that's good.
Pretty much, sure.
I'm a tick.
You're an influencer, but not in a gross way.
Hooray!
Ray.
Okay. That one I was.
I mean, it's. I feel like we might be done with that one. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Okay.
I don't know if I gave it the depth that it necessarily deserved. But
But yes.
can a psychologist help with behavioral therapy? Absolutely yes. I don't know if that covers it, but yes.
What was I talking? I'm a respectable influencer. Wrong word for what I am, but thank you. Okay. Are we off? All right. Okay. You know, a way to get a sense in which way I'm neurodivergent. Yes. A really good method is to go to the Embrace Autism website. And on that website, they have quite a few legitimate and reputable tests. So those are not diagnostic tests; they're just tests. They just give an indication, both autism and ADHD. Um, and uh, and fill out the screening test and get the results for free on that website. So that's on the Embrace Autism site. I'm not allowed to put that. So. And yeah, if you do a few of those and it gives a result that indicative that you might be autistic, then those are good screening tests which you can take to your doctor or psychiatrist. And yeah, they're not diagnostic, but they can give you a good indication.
Yeah, and we're going to assume that when we're talking especially during this live, that if people are using the term neurodivergent, what they really mean is autistic and or ADHD. But neurodivergence encompasses more than just those two conditions, and is also not a clinical term. Just for reference, for anyone wondering, it's not a clinical term; it's more of a political term. And it's talking about like community and identity rather than specific diagnoses or classifications of mental health disorders or conditions. So just kind of keeping that in mind, because neurodivergence could include things like epilepsy, which Embrace Autism probably won't be able to help you figure out. But that doesn't mean that it's not a really helpful resource for autism specifically.
All right, next one. People say I have autism, although I don't align with Google. But I have it.
Google doesn't really know everything.
Yeah, if you're just googling autism symptoms, not necessarily going to get like depth exploration. Many ways in which like traits of autism can present, right? If I'm just to give an example there, right? Just one diagnostic criteria, right? One of the DSM-5 diagnostic criteria is like differences in the way a person develops and maintains relationship, right? Now, very stereotypically, traditionally, that would look like, okay, this person is not capable of maintaining friendships without assistance, or maintaining friendships in a way. However, in higher masking individuals, that might not be the case. So it's different. Yeah. So autistics often have interest-based relationships, right? So have less difficulty maintaining relationships with people who share your But if your interests no longer align, kind of stop talking to that person, or like you don't really talk to them and align once again, and you're both doing the same thing. And that instead of having like sort of spontaneous socializing, it's like very structured events where it's like, okay, we are going to meet at this time and play this board game, and then we're going home. Uh,
We're going to meet at 12 o'clock on a Sunday. We're going to play D&D for 4 hours, and then everyone will go home, and we will not talk
yeah,
again until the following week.
yes. And
We're only going to talk about D&D.
yes. Oh, you like ice cream? Yes.
Broadly, yes. The so look, I think
And so
if
if you
people have
just
told
Google
you,
it and it's like, oh, it can't have relationships. It's like, well, no, like it's more in depth than that, right? And then even high masking individuals like might be able to maintain friendships, but it's like they're always
there might be challenges.
um
Yeah, of any different.
yeah, like they might just always feel different or othered within that group. Um or just like because they don't necessarily know they're autistic, like presented differently. Like, oh no, I have no interest in friends. Like I could do it if I wanted to, but I don't want to. It's like, yeah, that's a difference. Like humans are kind of
Yeah,
programmed to want relationships with people. It is an inherent
yeah,
difference if you have no desire.
we're a social species. So like if people have told you, hey, you've got a little something something going on neurologically, neurodevelopmentally rather, there's something happening there. Have you thought maybe that you're autistic? And you Google the symptoms and you go, oh, Google is saying, Google is saying that some stuff that I don't really identify with. Fair enough, but Google doesn't really know much. It just spouts out information, and I'm going to point out the whole AI overview thing that you can get sort of now when you do Google searches is even less helpful because sometimes it's really accurate, other times it's really not,
Yeah.
because it's just sort of giving you a rundown of information that it has found, not necessarily checking the veracity of that information or the accuracy of that
Or the
information.
recency.
So, or the recency of that
I
information.
don't know. I'll just
Um,
answer your questions in just a sec, right?
so the answer, so the solution here, right, is a little bit similar to what we spoke about with the last question. Um, Go to the Embrace Autism website. Check out some of the screening tests there. Fill out a couple of those. You'll get the results back, and that will give you more of an evidence-based indication. Do you um, do you have some autistic traits or behaviors that might align with an autism diagnosis? And that could give you either some peace of mind or a direction in terms of, should you talk to a professional about maybe getting an assessment?
Okay, I'm just
Google
gonna answer a few
is
quick ones out of order.
not always helpful.
Um uh I have exceeded mental health care plan. Do you accept rebates from HF? Yes, our psychologist accept rebates from HF. Our psychotherapist can.
Yeah.
Um,
So most
uh,
psychologists can take private health insurance, and if they can't take it themselves, they can send you a receipt for the private fee, and you can provide it to your insurer, and your insurer will reimburse you.
yes.
Um, and for,
And can we do telehealth for the first session? Yes.
yeah, that's fine.
And for most adults, higher assessment. Um, and you're able to book both face-to-face sessions and telehealth initial sessions online through our booking website. And the website is on my profile. The link to our website is on
Mm-mm.
my. All right. People say, oh, I know. Do you think it's common in Australia that the mental health system failed many Australians?
I think that almost all health systems are imperfect. Um, and so, have people been failed by that system?
Sorry.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
It's probably I need
Uh,
to put my mic closer. Thank you for telling me.
yeah, have people been failed by the mental health system? Yeah, almost undoubtedly. Is it like all or most? I don't think I can. I don't think I can categorically say that it's all or most. But there are a lot of people who unfortunately end up falling through the gaps because there's literally gaps in treatment. We have a hospital system that could be better that could absolutely be better funded. Um, we have
Thank you for sharing the
missing
live.
sort of there's a big gap in terms of um, sort of like it's sometimes referred to as like the missing middle, right? So like we have um, a system in place broadly for really pointy end significant mental illness, like serious mental illness, like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, um, uh, psychosis, all that sort of stuff. We've got a system in place that can be helpful, isn't always, can be helpful. And then we've also got like the outpatient private practice sort of stuff, which is good for lots of different presentations, but
Hooray!
broadly speaking,
Thank you for the follow.
is often for
Thank you for
like
the gifts.
is often for the depression, anxiety, sort of what's sometimes referred to as like the sort of like very standard presentations of mental health. And then there's nothing really for the middle part where there's like reasonably serious,
Hooray!
reasonably difficult presentations that need more than just once every 2 weeks, more than just 10 sessions per year. And so there is a gap. Is it that most Australians have been failed by that? I don't think that's true. Is it that more than an acceptable number of Australians have been failed by that system? Yes. The system needs to be improved.
Another really quick one that I'm just going to jump to. Do we only deal with people who have both or like one of either? No. You don't have to be neurodivergent anyway to see a psychologist at Blackbird or a therapist at Blackbird. I'd say most of our clients are, but no, you definitely don't have to be.
Yeah, it's certainly not a requirement.
If you vibe with us, then good. Yeah. Yeah, everyone up tonight. Hooray! Yeah, no, I will infect you all with my stims, and I will not be ashamed of it. Cool. Now, I really, really want an ice cream now, and there's one in the freezer, but I'm not going to do it yet until next Tamagotchi time. Because that's going to be my Tamagotchi time, is putting an ice cream in me. I could have worded that better. I admit I could have worded that better, okay? I could have worded that better. I heard it off.
In the map specifically.
In the map specifically, yes. Horticulture. Hooray! Oh my god. We're just gonna spread it around the world. Okay. Can you talk about the fear of being perceived, especially during tasks like cooking or cleaning?
Tash, do you want to take that one? Because I think you have more experience with that specifically.
Are you suggesting I have more experience with the fear of being perceived while cooking?
I wasn't going to say fear necessarily, but certainly a dislike of being perceived.
Yes. Okay. So the dislike of being perceived is like the origins of it can come from a few different things, right? Like in general, autistics and ADHDs can face like a higher number of social rejections and social judgments when compared to neurotypical people, because like it's pointed out it's frequently pointed out when we fail to perform in the way that is normal, like in quotation marks normal, right? And
Why are you doing that thing?
yeah, like why are you doing it that way? What's like and it's in being perceived, right? There is pressure to perform or act in a certain way, and executive function can be difficult to begin with, right? Like getting cooking, for example, like just starting that can be a harder thing for neurodivergence to begin with. Now we need to perform it in a particular way, like, or at least there's a deeply like ingrained, like fear, I guess is like really the correct word there, right? Of okay, there may be associated judgment with that, right? In terms of how I do it, how quickly I do it, and etc. Right? And judgment, like it's subconsciously drilled into us from a very early age that social judgment is a dangerous thing. It is not safe, and must avoid. Like trying to blend in feels safest. The other thing as well is it's common with high marks and gifted presentations too, to have a fear of being perceived because like with a lot of gifted presentations, there's a lot of pressure put on you from a very early age, like to perform. Okay, you're good at this thing. This will be the only kind of positive interaction you get from your peers, your teachers, etc. Right? Otherwise, it's just like you're odd and different. And but no one's good at everything, right? And performing like well at things takes a lot of energy, a lot of time and energy. Oh yes, James specifically, Georgia has his books closed at the moment for therapy and for assessment actually at the moment.
Busy man.
Yes, busy calendar, very full.
That won't always be the case, but we don't have a date currently for when that'll be.
Yes.
When I feel like it. When I have capacity to take
Yeah, that one. We don't close it because your battery's full.
It wasn't closed on a whim.
Yes, it was not closed on a whim. Yes. What was I talking about? Yes, and so the potential of having your performance critiqued, even in something as simple as cooking and cleaning, like that can be something that feels dangerous. And so it's like, I just don't want to be perceived. I don't want to be perceived. Sick of being perceived. Stop perceiving me. Do not want to bear the brunt of judgment from people.
And so it sort of raises the question, is it actually a fear of being perceived, as in, like, for someone else to actually just see you? Or is it a fear of what being perceived represents, which is the threat of negative judgment? And I do think that's actually important.
So for assessment for assessment initial consultation, I think Joseph's the only one accepting initial consult appointments right now for the assessment. But your that's just for the initial consultation. The assessment clinicians that are currently have books open is Sam, Martha, Sabrina, and Sabrina. Yeah, Sam, Martha, and Sabrina. Just looking at our website. But I think Joseph's the only one who has specifically initial consult availability. And that's just like initial consult for the assessment is like just that initial screening. It's kind of like a discussion to decide whether you getting assessed is like beneficial for you and whether it will help you, like whether sort of autism or ADHD is indicated enough to warrant an assessment, and whether it's beneficial like enough for your circumstances and what you're wanting to get out of it, before you outlay a bunch of money for it, right? Ta-da!
So yeah, with that fear of being perceived, I think it's important to sort of recognize that it's not necessarily about being perceived itself, right? But it might be very much about the
Thank you, Joseph.
threat that being perceived poses.
That was Tamagotchi time. That's Tamagotchi time. I get an ice cream. I'm gonna let you do the thing, and I'm getting myself an ice cream and going to the bathroom. Hooray! Thank you for the follow.
Cool. Before you go, because I'm just about to wrap up this question.
Must reach
give me the next question.
Tamagotchi. Oh yeah. Is there a reason why some people's special interest is medieval punishment and the unalivers?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so very quickly.
Oh god, that's such a common special interest. Anyway, be back in a second.
So very quickly, there's a difference between fear of being perceived and fear of judgment. Is it actually the fear of judgment? I think that's a worthy question. Okay, so is there a reason why people have these specific special interests? No, not particularly. Special interests vary so much. They're really common. They're common ones, and there might be something about a particular topic that is interesting to different people based on their own culture, based on their own upbringing, based on their own just what happens to interest them, based on temperament. Is it something unique to being autistic that makes people interested in medieval torture? No, I don't think so. Because you also don't have to be autistic to have an interest in medieval history and different aspects of that, or to have an interest in suicidality and self unaliving thoughts. God, I hate that term. So, is there a reason? Probably not. Because again, it's not necessarily actually unique to autism. It's more to do with the individual. And here's the thing: while we are all unique individuals, human beings are not necessarily that unique. Like there's a lot of crossover, but there's a lot of crossover in our interests and in the way that we see the world and autism. Like there's no such thing as unique snowflakes. Even snowflakes are not unique snowflakes. Like um, crossover. There's similarities. There's things that we all have in common, and that's okay. So no, there isn't a specific reason why, other than maybe those things are cool and interesting. I mean, self-unaliving is not cool, and serial unalivers um, are kind of. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't particularly find them interesting because I actually think that they turn out to be very boring people. Because you want to know, oh, what makes someone do that? Usually, they just don't like women. Um, is the answer. Um, 9 times out of 10, that's the answer. It's not actually that fascinating. But um, people are interested in these things because they're interesting. That's the reason. The same reason why people are interested in anything, because for some reason it speaks to them on an individual level.
I'm having it.
You are having ice cream. Are there any other ice creams? Or was that the last one?
One more.
Okay. I like the air of disapproval that was in your.
Yes, yes. You picked that up, did you?
How dare I
You picked up
ask?
on that?
How dare
Look,
I
it's
ask?
Herman.
Of course I.
Hello, Herman. Oh, there should be a Herman sticker that you can chat if you're a fan.
If you're a Herman
if you've
fan.
joined the fan club, you can, he is very cute and I love him. Steals my food, gaslights. Right. Ugh. Can you lay down? Where are we? What do you think of NDIS not funding trauma treatment psychologists? Autism?
I mean, it's not just for autism spectrum disorder. It's for everything. But
He's actually an old man dog. I
it's
just want to point that out. He's an old, not a puppy.
yeah. He's not. He is
He's
not a puppy.
he's a senior dog.
Aside from being a puppy, insofar as all dogs are puppies, um, because puppy. But no, he is a grumpy old man, and he does not care for me very much.
That's true.
It's true. And he doesn't dislike me. He just
He just likes me, and
cares.
I take
He
away
just cares only
attention
for
from
the
him.
fact.
Like
Just cares
James's
only for the fact.
existence, yes, takes my
Is a
attention away from
mild
Herman.
frustration.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, that's not
so
hang up.
what do I think about it? I think it's frustrating, because I understand the rationale. I don't necessarily agree with the rationale. Now, I'm not in a position where I can sort of publicly and openly criticize the NDIS and
I am.
the way that it functions. You are. I think that there are flaws. I think that that's definitely a flaw because that's treatment that I think is very, very much needed. The current rationale with the NDIS is that they don't want to be funding things that could be treated that are not inherently related to the disability for which people are getting support through the NDIS. So, if you are if you're autistic and that's the reason why you receive NDIS funding, then you then basically the NDIS's position is, well, then you shouldn't be getting treatment for other things that are not autism, right? And they don't want to fund that, which I think is a mistake. I think that's
I personally
ultimately
also
going
think
to
that that is a
cost
mistake.
the system more money. I think it's going to cost. I think ultimately it ends up costing the system more money. But it's that's unfortunately what we have to work with at the moment. So yeah, it's not something that I personally agree with, but it is the current situation. So no, I don't like it, but it is what it is right now. By all means, if you have the capacity to do so, you could do something like, and I know this sounds like silly, but you could, if you have the capacity, to try to get involved on a political level and like write to your local MP and like say, hey, this issue is important to me. You should do something about it because I live in your constituency, and that's and I therefore am a voter. Like politicians actually do care about getting your vote. Will they do anything about it? Depending on where you live, I don't know. But um, you can't change the NDAS directly, but you can potentially hassle politicians to do something about things for you. That's kind of their whole job.
I'm so sorry. That was actually, you know what? It might be medication time for me.
Yeah,
Wait. How far are we away from the next Tamagotchi time? Well, that increased more than it was meant to. There, hang on a sec. Investigate what's happened. Oh no, that's the wrong button. That's a terrible button to press. There we go. I've got this. Oh no, that's fine. I thought it said 3 there, but there's a 5. No, it's doing what it's meant to. All right. I shouldn't hold chat hostage for me taking my medication. I should just take it. Hey, I should just take it.
You should just.
I should just take it. Yeah, that's not a thing I should do. No. Got my decks everywhere.
Oh God. Don't much time I needed. That's the last thing we needed.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. I appreciate the care. Where are we?
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
That's fast.
I'm thinking I have BPD as well as AuDHD. How similar are BPD and autism?
So
ask the question. I will ask it. I will add it to the list. Bocce. No, you can do that one.
Okay. So
tappa.
I'm gonna
tappa. Oh God, what have I done? Sorry, continue. Please continue.
So I'm going to say that it's entirely possible. It's entirely possible that you could have BPD in addition to autism and ADHD or ADHD. So yep, not 100% not ruling that out. That said, BPD or borderline personality disorder is a really common misdiagnosis when what's actually happening is ADHD, so autism plus ADHD, with a trauma background. Every symptom that's listed in the DSM-5 for borderline personality disorder, when you look at it through the lens of ADHD, makes perfect sense. It's also potentially it's also potentially like easy to be confused about these things. I'm not talking about you specifically, but easy for even clinicians to be confused about these things if they don't have all of the context, or if they're missing certain pieces of important information. So I'm not going to say like, oh no, you couldn't possibly have it, because you easily, yeah, it's entirely possible you could, but it's also possible that it might just be autism and ADHD, and Good
Join us,
diagnosis.
Jay.
Good diagnosis is about trying to find the most
Thank you.
accurate description and the most accurate formulation for someone's uh, conditions or experiences that is that explains everything, right? So realistically, we don't want to. It's not. I don't think it's a good diagnosis to have someone with a laundry list of disorders or diagnoses when a shorter list would also
Oh,
encapsulate that.
we have Jay and
For
Michaela
example,
joining the fan club. Thank you.
hello, Michaela. Like for example, um, it is a silly idea to diagnose someone with, for example, uh, generalized anxiety disorder and health anxiety and social phobia and separation anxiety when realistically generalized anxiety disorder would cover all of those because it's generalized, right? It's about everything. It's about multiple different things. It doesn't need to be about these specific things if it's everything, right? So someone with generalized anxiety disorder might experience these other symptoms as well. Do they require a separate diagnosis? Maybe not. Um, Sometimes a diagnosis of BPD is strategically necessary to help you get access to certain treatments. If you want to do a DBT group, for example, which is a wonderful therapy that can be really, really helpful for people, including autistic people, um, then yeah, sure, we might want to look at a diagnosis of BPD there. I'm hesitant about it because people who have been diagnosed with BPD, and it's often women, experience a lot of medical discrimination. Um, can have difficult times with law enforcement because there's really harmful stereotypes about people with BPD, especially women with BPD, and having that on your file, having that on your medical records, means that can mean that showing up to the emergency department with a legit issue um, might mean that you're dismissed or not taken seriously or not given adequate care. And so I'm always really careful about BPD diagnoses because they can have unintended and very negative long-term implications for someone. So it could be all three, but you know, and look, I don't know you, I don't know your history, I don't know your life, so it could easily be all three. It could also be just AuDHD with some trauma background stuff coming up. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yep. Okay. I have autism, PMDD, and CPTSD. What is the best therapy for me?
Um, so for the CPTSD, probably EMDR could be a really good option. Um, uh, Acceptance and commitment therapy could be a really good option. Um, Narrative therapy could be a really good option. There's any number of evidence-based therapies for CPTSD could be very, very helpful.
No, I am. I'm adding all the questions onto a list. We're just answering the questions in the order in which we receive them.
So any number of evidence-based therapies could be really helpful for the CPTSD. I probably wouldn't recommend traditional CBT because autistic people tend not to, by and large, tend not to tolerate that very well. Because the way that it is often administered can be invalidating and can be uh, unhelpful for some autistic people. Not all, but certainly a non-zero number. So there's that. In terms of therapy for autism, um, realistically, it's not so much about treating the autism; it's more about managing autism when it comes up. Like as in, it's always there. But I mean, like when there are certain autistic traits that are manifesting that are really getting in your way, a lot of the time that's practical sort of things that need to be done. Or potentially acceptance and commitment therapy strategies can be really useful there for recognizing that there are things that maybe can't always be changed, and helping you to refocus your attention on working on the stuff that can actually be changed. Um, ACT, or accessible commitment therapy, and EMDR are two of my big sort of things. I think those are good therapies. Neurodivergent friendly DBT can be really good. Um, but really any number of evidence-based therapies are going to be what we're looking for there.
It's like quite a personal thing, and like
Yeah, and you might, because you
and
might hate
and
any of those therapies that I suggested.
and it's also like the most important factor with any kind of like talk therapy is how you vibe with your therapist.
Yeah, that's true. So
It's the
all
therapeutic
evidence-based.
how you vibe with your therapist is not the correct term there. Sorry. With the quality of the therapeutic relationship. There we go. That's the one. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
better?
So the relationship that, yeah, yes, it is. The relationship that you have with your psychologist or counselor or therapist is sometimes referred to as the therapeutic alliance, right? Basically, you're on the same team trying to help work on the problem, right? And so you need to be able to work together, and you need to feel. Um, you don't have to like your therapist, as in you don't have to be friends with them. In fact, you can't be friends with them. That's how it works. But you do need to be able to feel comfortable to tell them things. You do need to be able to disclose stuff, what's going on in your life to them. You do need to be able to work with them. Um, the biggest predictor of therapeutic success for all evidence-based therapies is that therapeutic alliance. If you can't engage with your therapist, if you don't feel comfortable talking to them, if you can't tell them what's going on for whatever reason, whether you have a fear of being judged, whether you don't think that they are qualified to help, whether they have said something before that has sort of broken your trust or confidence, those are things that need to be addressed, because
Thank you for the
that's the
gift.
thing that's going to predict, is it going to help, right? The therapy itself is important, but the therapeutic alliance, the relationship that you have with your therapist, that's the thing that really matters.
And just there's another question just on that same topic that would jump to. How does someone get that therapeutic alliance?
So, look, what Natasha said before earlier is relevant. A little bit, it is a little bit vibes based. Um, and sometimes you meet people that for whatever reason you just don't vibe with. You just don't um, feel like you can really talk to, and it might be very difficult to define. Um,
And no like
so
no modality type or what have you is necessarily going to be able to
yeah,
like overcome
you
that.
can't
Yeah.
force it. Yeah, you can't force it, right? In the same way that you can't force yourself to like something, you can't force yourself to like somebody or to feel comfortable with them. But ideally, the things that a good therapist is doing to sort of foster a good therapeutic alliance is that they are taking a personal interest in you. They are listening to you and respecting you and wanting to hear you, right? Like,
I've added your
quick
question to the
callback to
list, by the way, Andrew. We're just answering the questions in the order in which we receive them.
quick callback to the question before about the fear of being perceived. You may not want to be perceived, but you do want to feel seen. Yeah, you do want to feel seen and understood and heard. And a good therapist will go out of their way to make sure that you feel seen and heard. Um, and that helps immensely with therapeutic alliance. They just have to take it back.
Ta-da! Tamagotchi time!
There you go.
Fine, I'll drink some water too. That's it. That's what you're getting out of this Tamagotchi time. Everyone do a self-care thing. Okay. Um, I answered the question. We both like ice cream. Yes, we do.
Yes, you do.
And we answered that one before. Okay. This person is wondering whether it sort of happens to anyone else. They're having trouble gaining weight to a healthy size and have a higher tolerance on most medications.
Mm.
Uh, so I'll tackle this one. So first of all, we're not doctors and cannot provide medical advice, but I will speak to some of the comorbidities of autism and ADHD, and I'll speak to common patterns that can occur in these populations. Yeah. If anyone had the same experience, well, I can tell you that that is a very common experience in the autism and ADHD community for several reasons. But you should absolutely speak with your doctor about those concerns.
Yeah.
However, a lot of a really common co-occurrence with autism and ADHD are connective tissue disorders and differences in connective tissue and metabolism that impact how you absorb and react to medications, which can mean you can be overreactive and underreactive to various medications, and also or develop a tolerance to them, like quickly over time, or you get all the freaky side effects, like the really rare ones. And like other factors that can come into play with weight is like if you're on ADHD medication, that can cause you to lose appetite and lose weight, which is absolutely, if you're on ADHD medication, you speak to your psychiatrist about that. But really, if you're losing weight, like, and you're not trying to for any reason, like that's a really good, like you should speak to your GP about that, like first and foremost, right? On top of that, what is very common in the autistic population is interoception issues. So having difficulty, and I have these like majorly, having difficulty telling when you're hungry and full, and or like thirsty, or when you need to go to the bathroom and things like that, which can lead to you just forgetting to eat and drink, and in general keep yourself alive. And interoception issues can worsen when under stress or after having experienced trauma. Okay. Last. And then the other thing that's very common in the neurodivergent communities is eating disorders, including RFID, restrictive.
Yeah, very common.
Take.
Restrictive food intake disorder.
That's the one. Yep, beautiful. Sorry, I never have to say it in full. Usually, it's just like, oh yeah, it's RFID. It's like, wait a minute, what were the words that went with that? Like that's frequently due to sensory issues or swallowing, and that can make it also very difficult to eat. Thank you for the gifts. So I would say, no, you're not the only one, but it's absolutely something you should speak to your doctor about. Yeah, and that's another good point, Leah. Like MCAS and like differences in also like your gut microbiome is also really common in the neurodivergent population. Can you just? All right, this ladder is not doing the thing that I wanted to.
The ladder is not laddering.
The ladder is not laddering. Oh no!
Oh, that's going on.
No.
Okay.
No! Stop! What am I meant to do? What am I meant to do?
Put it somewhere else.
I can't put it anywhere.
Oh. Okay. Well.
Hello?
It's there.
Oh, there we go. I did it. Okay.
Hooray!
Hooray! Thank you for the hot follow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and so sort of what you're talking about, Bocce, there, like getting like observed through screens and tested on lots of different medications, that was far more common practice in the early 2000s and prior. where autistics and ADHD is like we're not treated very well, and sometimes like even institutionalized and very dehumanized. And like that's one of the things when speaking about like being late diagnosed, right? Where it's like, oh, I wish I'd known when I was a child. It's like I don't know if you do, right? Like it's
Only if there were adequate supports in
in
place.
place, yeah,
Which
yeah.
often, if we were to go back in time, right? If we
Like
were to go
10,
back
20
in time,
years, like maybe not, right? Like
maybe not.
it's often a case of like it's not wasn't necessarily better or worse to get diagnosed before or diagnosed now. It's more that like you were just born a couple of decades too early.
Like if I had received a diagnosis in the sort of mid to late 1980s, that would have been really bad in terms of like my actual day-to-day experience. Um, I would not have had access to good quality treatment or therapies or supports. I would have probably been not institutionalized necessarily, but I would have been forced into treatments like probably like ABA at best, and which can be a deeply problematic treatment that is often not um, implemented well, even if we were to assume that the theory it's based on is sound, which it isn't. Um, so, you know, potentially what we're sort of feeling there when we say, "Oh, well, it would have been better if I'd been diagnosed earlier," is nostalgia for a time that never existed, um, because it actually probably wouldn't have been better, although it might have been nicer to know more about yourself at that time. But also, you were a child. What would you have done with that information? I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't know, and therefore it's not necessarily a very good use of time or mental resources to like really constantly be preoccupied by it because like you can't go back in time and change it anyway.
Yeah, it's created a bit of a stigma with ADHD medication too, because they definitely experimented with dosage and too high a dosage in the early 2000s. And it's like, oh,
I
this
think it was. I think
medication's
it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was definitely common, and you definitely heard horror stories on like current affairs news programs of like, doctors drugging out children, sort of thing, which is not only not accurate, but also like it might have just meant that the doses were too high and needed to be reduced.
yeah.
That
And
doesn't
just
mean.
on the same topic before I'm on there to the next question, what is ABA?
ABA is, I believe it's adaptive behavior assessment.
Uh,
Is it adaptive or is it?
no, I think it's God, we always just call it ABA.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Let me
If I'm gonna be bagging it out, I should get the name right.
yes.
So that people can know exactly what it is that I'm criticizing.
Yeah, okay, good. I was right. I didn't say it out loud, but I was right in my head. Applied behavior analysis.
Applied behavior analysis.
Yep,
Right.
yep, yep, yep.
So applied behavior analysis is a type of let's call it treatment um, that was developed for autistic children.
Ta-da! It's
And
Tamagotchi time. Oh my lord. Already. Ah! I nearly fell. I nearly
and
fell
its
off my chair.
primary purpose is to sort of using using behavior modification techniques like conditioning, for example, like classical conditioning techniques, of like positive reinforcement, negative positive punishment, negative reinforcement, trying to
Oh,
encourage
okay,
children to
fine.
behave in
Got my
a
water.
more
Into the
neurotypical
water.
manner, because with the with basically with the idea it's like, oh, this is going to help them to fit into the society better and help them to assimilate into society better. This is a bad idea. It's basically teaching masking,
Thank you, Vic.
and
I
there are
appreciate you.
ways of doing there are ways of doing um, there are ways of
And I
learning
like the PDA friendly language, by the way, just there. Thank you.
social skills training. There's ways of doing that that are not inherently abusive. There's ways of like teaching interpersonal effectiveness that is not inherently abusive. Um, the way that a lot of, especially early ABA, was done was trying to teach neurodivergent children, autistic children, to just be normal, which is not what children need.
I've had clients who grew up in ABA programs and look, growing body of evidence that suggests it is not good for your well-being or mental health long term. But the way they measured its effectiveness to begin with in like research studies was not the well-being of the child so much, but rather parental satisfaction with the child's behavior. But it can be
Or like teacher satisfaction.
yeah, teacher satisfaction with child behavior.
Was the child easier to deal with? Right.
Yes.
Well, that's not a good metric for is the child okay?
Yes. Like it can very often lead to extremely depressed and burnt out teenagers and adults. And I've certainly had clients who grew up with ABA and like the really like the message that was very much drilled into them was if it's not normal, it is not okay. And it's just like leads to these like beliefs that like there is something inherently wrong with them and they are inherently wrong. And what everyone how everyone else is, what is normal is what is correct.
Yeah, which is not really helpful lessons for a child who is different to many of their peers. It's not really what that child needs to hear. It's not helpful. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help them build.
No. You actually did use PDA friendly language. That was not sarcasm. That was excellent. It was just an observation that that's not water, and it's like, hooray! Thank you for the follow. It was just it was actually very good PDA friendly language because you were just observing that that's not water, and you weren't like drink water, Tash. It was that's not water, and you're like, okay, you called me out. Continue. Sorry, James.
No, that was pretty. That's pretty much that was my thing.
Yep.
That was my ABA PSA.
All right. Next.
TBH.
I'm
done.
Okay. Done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything out there to help with a sleeping disorder with autism if they only have 4 to 5 hours sleep every night?
Depends what the sleeping disorder is. That could be insomnia, in which case, yes, there's a lot of things that can help with insomnia. Like
Maybe
difficult to
I'll have
answer
you
that
take this
question
one. If I can take some of the big ticket ones.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah, so like absolutely speak to your doctor and get sent to a sleep specialist and such. Yes, but some really common causes of insomnia in autistics. I would say that number one would be co-occurring ADHD, and co-occurring ADHD can impact your sleep, especially if it's untreated ADHD. A lot of ADHD individuals sleep better when they are on stimulant medications. But like differences in sleep and falling asleep and staying asleep is very like common in like with autism. Another cause can be if you are female, which I can't remember what I shouldn't judge off username anyway. But if you are female, you can be a lot more sensitive to the changes in your hormones as you start getting older, and even your like differences in your menstrual cycle hormones can lead to insomnia, and moving into perimenopause and menopause. Sometimes the typical neurotypical sleep hygiene rules do not apply and can actually be harmful in some neurodivergence with falling asleep. So, for example, a lot of autistics actually benefit from having sensory input before and during sleep, immediately before and during sleep. So, for example, music playing or a television on, or there being a light on or something, and that comes down to like what works for you rather than like following strict sleep hygiene rules.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot of evidence that says that people in general are better off sleeping in a almost completely pitch black room. Okay, sure.
Not me.
That doesn't really apply to autistic people
I
necessarily.
need light. I need sound. I need a weighted blanket.
Yeah. And so those rules don't necessarily, and also, one, they're not rules, they are broad sort of generalizations. organizations, but they apply even more, or rather even less broadly, to autistic people. So, yeah. But yes, it's absolutely something that you should probably speak to your doctor about.
Yep. Other ones as well. I wasn't done with my list. And now I have to finish my list. Yeah. So, looking at like sensory input and experimenting with different sensory input, like may help make a difference. As well, there can be differences in the way that autistic and ADHDers, like differences in the way our airways and sinuses form occurs at a much higher rate, causing things like sleep apnea. And that can be impacting your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, and as well as the quality of your sleep. Especially if you have like other co-occurring things like sleepwalking, sleep talking, sleep paralysis, lucid kind of thing.
All of which are
you can just like have the type of brain where like sleep just does not come naturally like to you at all, and you may want assistive medications for that. So for example, I take a non-stimulant ADHD medication that stops me from lucid dreaming, because I would lucid dream every single night. And so although I would sleep for a very long time, it would usually be about 10 hours a night for me to be a happy, sane person. So more than average, right? Like it needed more than average to not be an awful person the next day. I'd be lucid dreaming every single night, all night, and being awake in your dreams means that you're not entirely asleep.
you're not getting proper rest.
Like I would chew over work problems while I was sleeping. Like that's how awake I was. I'd make important life decisions while I was dreaming. Like that's not, and that happens like more often in people with ADHD, right? So if there's anything like that, then like that's like definitely like a neurologist, psychiatrist angle, right? And so ever since starting that medication, for example, I need like 8 hours to be a happy individual. Less kind of sleep needed. And so yeah, you may just need like medication assistance. Certain like vitamin deficiencies occur at a much higher rate in the autistic population, which can lead to sleep difficulties. So you're going to be looking at like just GP regular bloods should do it, right? You want to be looking at vitamin D, you want to be looking at iron, you want to be looking at B12.
Magnesium is often one.
Magnesium is another one. Yeah, that's like a really a deficiency that occurs more frequently in autistics, which can impact sleep.
And obviously those are not just vitamins, minerals as well.
Yeah. If there's any like PTSD, that can prevent you from sleeping as well. And PTSD occurs at significantly higher rates in the autistic population. That's like, but like ultimately, you should like. I hope that gives like some ideas or direction, but ultimately, like it's a conversation for you to be. And please like don't start any supplements without your GP's guidance and advice, because that can be dangerous.
It can be dangerous, or at the very least, it can just be pointless.
Yes. Is it a concern if I often wake up and I'm still tired? If you wake up after a full night's sleep and you're still tired, that's like something's going on.
If that happens consistently, like most days, more than it doesn't, yeah, there's something going on there. There's a problem with sleep.
Yeah. And so you can go get a sleep study done with a sleep specialist. Yeah, just like speak to your doctor and they can point you in the right direction of a specialist. But I hope that gives some direction there. Where are we? Have I ever used a pressure washer in real life? Yes, for about 20 seconds. I grabbed it and I was like, tee! And I was like, that was cool. I'm going inside because I don't like getting splashed with water. But also, did I tell you we're getting a pressure washer in like any day now? Did I tell you that Joseph has an extra pressure washer and he's just giving it to us?
Why?
Because I want a pressure washer and he has an extra one with no room to store it.
Yeah, but you don't like being splashed. You're gonna get splashed.
Yeah, but if I choose a time where I want to go pressure wash and I have the autism battery where I could handle getting splashed, it was just that in that moment I wanted to try the pressure washer but didn't have the autism battery to handle being splashed.
Okay, well in that case, well, you haven't told me before, but now I know.
Yeah, no. But like, if it's on a day where like I'm not going to have a splash box of doom or anything like that, that's what showering is. It's called the splash box of doom. I don't like being splashed with water. And so I'm not going to get splashed by two things in the one day. That's just unacceptable.
That's just crazy.
Yes, thank you, Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Did you know that referring to things, did you know that like referring to things like that, so calling a shower a splash box of doom, it's actually in the autism diagnostic criteria, B1. Is referring to things in odd or indirect ways, which is like a stereotypical behavior of autism. So, for example, like calling a pantry a food cupboard, or like say I'm having a bad brain day instead of like I'm feeling depressed, or calling the bed like I'm going to the sleeping place instead of I'm going to bed. Like anything like that is technically in the autism diagnostic criteria. That's not to say that if you do that, you're autistic. Like, you know, you need to fulfill so many criteria, like across several domains of your life. Like there's several criteria for a reason. But yeah.
But certainly, if that's something that you do consistently all the time, that might be
whether intentional or unintentional. Even if you're doing it for intentional humor purposes, that's like a stereotypical kind of autistic flavor of humor.
Especially if you do it really consistently. Like if that's your go-to joke, then maybe.
On that note, do you think it has been affected by the TikTok trends of calling things obscure names? Autistic people tend to cluster together in communities on TikTok. Like the algorithm is very good at putting us together. And so it might seem like it's everywhere for you on TikTok, but that might be because you're attracting the neurodivergent TikTok and you like creators who are inherently kind of like you. And so your TikTok's going to be looking very different to someone else's TikTok.
I recently saw the feed of someone who is not who only gets like a very minimal amount, because obviously if I know them, they're probably going to get some autism stuff coming up on their TikTok feed, but they don't get it that's not sort of like their primary sort of topic that comes up for them, and yeah, it's actually really different.
Yeah, my partner and I basically have our own language. Other people don't know what we mean. Really typical for a neurodivergent relationship. Yeah. And neurodivergent families, which is why, like, if you're assessing a child, you need to, like, know that it's very likely that, like, when you ask the parents, like, does your child have, like, an abnormal way of speaking or abnormal ways of calling things? And it's like, no. But, like, in their head, it's like, yes, but, like, that's a family in-joke. And it's like, yeah, I wonder why.
We all
do that. Like, ta-da! Tamagotchi time. Oh, my God, I'm so full of water. Okay. All right, I'm moving on from my normal water to my salt water to help with the pots.
I thought the salt water hurt your tummy.
It does. That's why I'm just taking a very small sip of it.
Okay. I'm going to point out here. Right.
Yeah, hear me
out. Because like with an actual Tamagotchi, I have to assume that too much water is a thing, right? So like, I'm not saying don't drink water, but self-care can also be not drowning yourself.
Okay, but also I'm chronically dehydrated, and I've never been. This is the most hydrated I've been in about 2 weeks right now.
That's fair.
Specifically because of this Tamagotchi time.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. And in fairness, like, you know, it's entirely likely that after the lab finishes, you're just not going to drink again until the next one. So,
also, I took an extra Tamagotchi time before when I took my medication. Outside of Tamagotchi time.
That's true. Speaking of it, isn't it? Oh, jeez, it's 9 o'clock. No, I might leave it. I don't know.
Where we have
I had my afternoon at the relevant afternoon time.
Oh, okay.
So, Probably fine.
What do you think of neurodivergent being used to mean autism ADHD instead of saying autism and ADHD?
I don't think the terms should necessarily be interchangeable. It's one of those things where the term neurodivergent has been co-opted from its original purposes. That's not to say it's a bad term. It's not a bad term. It's just that it means
I just need to pause everyone here.
it's
Drinking too much water. I want to make it really clear this is the most hydrated I've been in about 2 weeks. I've had all of about half a liter of water today. I just want to make that really clear. I have not overdrank water. I'm so bad at drinking water. I almost die every day.
Well, sure.
Please continue.
It's not completely inaccurate.
It's not completely
So,
inaccurate, yeah.
So the term neurodivergent was, I can't remember the name of the person who first coined it. If you know it, throw it in the comments. But it was originally this term was originally developed to refer, so neurodivergence was originally developed to refer simply to the fact that there are different neurotypes, right? And neurodivergent was simply meant to indicate a divergence from what is typical or neurotypical. It wasn't meant to imply a particular type of neurodivergence. It's basically anyone who has a neurology that is different. So someone with bipolar disorder is neurodivergent. Someone with epilepsy, or Fragile X syndrome, or Down syndrome. These are all forms of neurodivergence, according to the original use of that term. It has been sort of co-opted by people, especially in sort of like online autism spaces and communities, to refer almost exclusively and to therefore exclude other forms of neurodivergence, to refer exclusively to autism and ADHD, which I don't inherently agree with. It's not a clinical term, so it's not one that I tend to use a lot. It is a political term now that is used to refer to identity more than actual clinical presentation. Right? You can't be diagnosed as being neurodivergent because that's not a thing. So I think that there's problematic ways that people use it. I think that all language can be used in a problematic way if people aren't aware of what it is that they're doing.
I don't have very strong opinions about this, to be honest. Like people who get up in arms over language like this, where it's like things like slurs and things like that. Absolutely, like don't. I come down. Yeah, don't use slurs. Yeah, don't use like hate slurs. But it's not just like
don't be a jerk.
I don't know if I should care more than I don't care. I don't care. You know what I mean? People know what I mean. My words are doing the thing where I'm communicating. I can be more explicit if someone needs me to be explicit. I don't care. Words change meanings all the time. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a horse in this race, quite frankly.
I guess my thing is that language is important on account of the fact that the language we use shapes the way that we perceive reality and shapes the way that we think, right? And so, therefore, I think it is at least a little bit important. It probably isn't as important as I get, I get annoyed about things probably more than I really need to, and more.
To be fair, you have like English language autism, and like I just don't.
Do. So I
have numbers autism. I don't have language autism. Like, I'm not good with words. Yeah.
Because I can very comfortably say the following and experience no discomfort. Pi is exactly 3.
Get the fuck out of my house. Oh, I swore on stream. Sorry. Sorry.
But that doesn't bother me whatsoever. If anything, I think it's hilarious. Because it's funny to be factually incorrect sometimes. But like that's the thing. Like I care about words maybe more than is really necessary. And so
I'm so sorry. Can we tell them about the time I walked in on you doing math?
So last year I was attempting to lose weight, which I did successfully, by the way.
You did, yeah.
And I was and losing weight is only important if you want it to be and if you're doing it in a healthy way. But I did, and I did both of those things want to and do it in a healthy way. And one of the things that I needed to do was to calculate a calorie deficit, and so I had to do some equations based on some various formulas that I had in a book that I got from a science-based lifting.
Just give me one sec. Yes, you can ask a question. I'll add it to our question list. And we'll answer it in the order in which we got it. There's not very many questions on the list now, so like, yeah, you won't be waiting very long. Please continue, James.
So anyway, I got a book from this guy that I actually followed on TikTok. I like him. He's all right. Seems like a cool dude. Anyway, his book contains formulas to help you calculate what your resting metabolic rate is, so therefore you can calculate the kind of calorie deficit you need to be in to achieve certain types of body recomposition. That's what I was. So I was doing some sums basically on a piece of paper, and when Natasha walked into my office to ask me a question, saw that I was doing maths, and the first question that I was asked, because I was sitting there doing some maths, was, "What's wrong?"
Yeah, I
Because
walked in
obviously
and he's
the only
doing maths,
situation-
and I'm like, "What's wrong?" I'd like, because he had like little algorithms sitting there, and I thought like, have you gambled away all our money, or like, not that you gamble or anything, like what's happened? Why are you doing
I don't like
maths?
gambling.
Like, I thought something disastrous had happened.
Because obviously that's the only situation in which I would use numbers.
And
But
it's like, did you just like get scared because I was doing maths? I'm like, yes.
I mean, like, in fairness, I suppose it is deeply out of character for
It
him.
was, yeah, it was, yeah. I was worried. Yes, pretty much. What urgency could there be that you'd be sitting there doing some calcs? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Right?
yeah. All right. Next one. Do I like hydrolytes for pots? And how do I go so long without drinking that much water with pots? Yeah, so I like almost faint like 30 times a day. It's not good.
It's not great.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
it's
love
not
it.
great. I often have to like hit the ground very quickly after standing up.
Mhm. Not my
Because
favorite.
yeah, drinking water is extremely difficult for me. Both because I don't really experience thirst. I don't like the taste or texture of water. It doesn't feel good in my tummy. Um, uh, yeah, and I get so hyper focused on things, like 20 hours can pass and I haven't even realized. And
I've
so
definitely
yeah,
found
and so
it.
Tamagotchi time in this stream is actually really good for me, like really good. Would my POTS be the low BP subtype? You know, I wish I could tell you. But the doctor who like diagnosed me wasn't actually a cardiologist. And I don't care to go to a cardiologist because I don't like going to the doctor. Uh, because like 9 times out of 10 I get completely dismissed and I'm so sick of that. And so I'm working on it. I will get to my butt to a proper cardiologist and eventually. But
As soon as you've got the spoons, and we can find one that you don't immediately dislike. As in someone who is going to listen to you and like respect what it is that you have to say about your own experience.
but my BP
lot of
absolutely plummets when I stand up. Like absolutely
it does.
plummets.
It
Yeah.
does.
Like it just
So
my vision goes like it's not good.
so the answer is very probably.
But quite frankly, I have too much medical trauma to take myself just to a doctor because I feel like it. Like one specialist a year I have room for, which I will carefully select through various reviews. But no, it was actually my gynecologist that diagnosed it because of like.
It's just real good. It's like, hey,
Well, I was having the really severe POT symptoms is a problem after you've had surgery. And he's cut me open a couple of times, and it was just like put on my like pots, just pump them full of liquid after the surgery. Like, yeah. Anyway, we answered this question before. Is there a reason why some people's special interest is medieval punishment and unalivers? Did you want to give like a quick one-sentence summary, just because this person's rejoined the live? But also, you can find the full. Thank you for the follow. You can find the full recordings of the live on the other platforms with which we stream to, which are located in the link tree on my profile. So if you click the link tree, you'll find other streaming platforms where the full live will be available to afterwards.
So the answer to that question
Actually, I'll be back in a sec.
is not necessarily super satisfying, because there isn't a specific reason why someone might be interested in a particular thing. Interests are based on what an individual person happens to find interesting, and there could be deep psychological reasons for it, but a lot of the time it's not. There aren't. It is simply something that piques your curiosity. It might be something that happens to be fascinating. It might be something that is genuinely just interesting to you as a person. It's true that a lot of autistic people do have an interest in medieval torture or cults or uh, embalming or subjects that a lot of other people, especially autistic or non-autistic people, might find uncomfortable. There is a reason why autistic people are more likely to be interested in topics that make other people uncomfortable, and that is because differences in the ways in which we experience empathy. That doesn't mean that we don't experience empathy or that empathy is inherently different, but the way in which we experience the feelings around empathy, that can be different. So often autistic people are not necessarily very squeamish, although some of us are extremely squeamish, so it depends. We might have a greater tolerance for certain things, and maybe more likely to have an interest in more unusual, more macabre sort of topics.
I really need to info dump when you're ready about a sideways topic.
Sure. And so it's not necessarily that like there's something special or unique about autistic people that makes us more likely to be interested in certain classes of criminals or medieval torture specifically, right? Or in the same way that there's nothing inherent about World War II history or tanks or train timetables or license plate numbers or different types of toilets or whatever it is that someone might be interested in. Something about it speaks to that individual. That's about as deep as it gets. It's actually not as magical or it's not as interesting as you might think.
Info dump time now. So the way in which autistic people can have like differences in the way their vagus nerve can send signals, including like our like disgust response, right? So and how it interprets like pain and pleasure and things like that. It can like get signals kind of missed or mixed up and it's theorized that those differences so not confirmed, just theorized. It's just like interesting hypotheses. I wouldn't make that. What I'm about to say is not fact, right? That previous part about the differences is fact, but the like resulting like the conclusion from that is just more interesting talk points and theorizing. That's why there's a really high proportion of like autistics in they're like into BDSM community, for example, because of the differences in which pain and pleasure is processed. And it is so the disgust response is an inbuilt response. Sorry, I've moved on from the part. I'm not talking about but the disgust response specifically, that's an inbuilt survival response to like stop us from like eating rotten flesh or
food.
like
going near rotting bodies prevents us from getting sick.
Yeah, and when a person is aroused in terms of like emotionally aroused for like intimate time with other human beings, one of the things that happens within the human brain and body is that the disgust response is suppressed, because that needs to happen in order the resulting acts to take place.
Involved with each
to get involved with each other's business, yes.
Technical terms for you.
It's theorized that's why there's higher levels of, like, that's one of the contributing factors as to why there's higher levels of asexuality in the autistic population, because in some autistics that disgust response is not suppressed in the way it otherwise would be.
Okay. That's
yeah,
something that
isn't that interesting?
That is interesting, and that that makes heaps of sense.
Or like not suppressed enough.
Good hypothesis.
So it's just like it just feels and it's probably asexuality is not like necessarily caused from any like one thing, and it isn't like a condition within itself. It's just like an interesting difference, and like there's a lot of factors that can go into play there. And so that can also be why like autistics can handle the more macabre interests, or like, and that seems a bit unusual because it's like, well, perhaps our response to that is it can also be why like can enjoy things like pimple popping videos and stuff like that, like because like the disgust response can be a bit suppressed.
I'm going to point out that like a lot of human beings, regardless of neurotype, can experience a certain type of fascination with a range of different topics.
Yes.
Might be like that might be unsettling to other people, and that's not necessarily
an indicator of exactly.
Or of autism, or of ADHD.
But anyway, that's like an interesting little hypothesis there. But yes, not fact. It's just more like, okay, cool. We know there's some vagus nerve, like interoception stuff happening with autistics.
Tomfoolery.
Yes, some vagus nerve and interoception tomfoolery with autistics. These are predicted to be some intended consequences of that, and some explanations for some certain things.
That's interesting. Yeah, wasn't aware of those hypotheses. They at least on paper they sound good.
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean anything with science. Like that's why it's like take that with a grain of salt. There's a lot of theories that sound really good, and it's like
yes, that's true.
Like lung cancer causes smoking, you know?
Yeah, right. So it is obviously it sounds viable, but does the data back it up? Unclear.
Well, I mean, there's certainly a correlation between the two.
And correlation does not imply causation.
Yeah.
So
it's like I was reading an interesting this is just my opinion now. What I personally think is a stupid take on ADHD.
Sure.
That there was data from a research study that showed that the parents of ADHD children demonstrate higher levels of stress than the parents of non-ADHD children.
Do they really?
And the bro's conclusion from that was that stressed parents can contribute to the genetic expression of ADHD. And it's like,
that seems spurious at best.
Or parents have ADHD too, and that's stressful. Or they have a kid with ADHD, which can come with increased difficulties in meaning that they're more stressed. Like, or the parents might not have ADHD, but might be like a little bit that way inclined, and that can like come on, you have to have 50 other like that's your conclusion from that data. That is like,
not even.
I'm sorry, the amount of
that's not even an undergraduate.
He was suggesting that then ADHD is not hereditary, and it's like, I'm sorry, my dude, but the number of twin studies we have that say it is, like, the data is overwhelmingly against you on this one.
Like,
Um,
I'm all for alternative theories, right? But like
yeah,
that one
yeah.
does not. That one
Like,
does not hold water. And now I'm angry.
yeah, I know that made me really angry. I was just like, can you like think about that, please, for 2 minutes before you
That's a very bold claim.
wrote a book
Without
about it
a lot of
too? Like, imagine
bold.
like writing a book and being so confident about that. Like, so confident about you'd write a book. Like, I don't know.
Well, anyway, hey, look, anyone can write a book.
It was published, yes. The published book that
should
is
anyone
actually
write a
a
book?
well-marketed ADHD book, and I like really question it.
Yeah, was that
I
Mecca?
forget because I forget the names of things.
That wasn't
But
Gabon Mecca, was it?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember the names of things. I don't remember the names of people or things.
That's
But I can look it up because I have it in my little bank of stuff that I refer to. Um, I don't remember the names of people nor things.
so.
Um,
So nounal, almost nounal aphasia, really, but not actual nounal aphasia because that's much worse. That's like that's forgetting all nouns, and that's not.
I went on a second date with someone once and couldn't remember the name. A second date. I was on the second date and still had not learnt their name. And we'd been texting a lot, like, and I couldn't even have their name saved in my phone because I didn't grab it. Like I did grab it. They told me like 3 times. I'm like, I can't ask anymore, and I'm in too deep now. Like, what do I do?
Oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to steal. The only thing for it is to steal their wallet and look at their ID. Like no other choices. Really.
I
You didn't think of that, did you?
I had to ask someone who knew. Yeah, it was not good.
It's not ideal. Hilarious. You know, for me, not for them.
Yeah.
Potentially heartbreaking for someone else.
Oh, Vic found it. Vic found it.
Okay.
The study I was talking about, the book.
Okay. Who is it?
The author.
Give us a name.
Name. I mean, it could be. Like, I can neither confirm nor deny.
Steve Biddulph. Well, Steve.
Oh, Joseph might have the name too. I had a big venting session about this one day with Joseph.
Well, Steve. Apologies to anyone out and to anyone in the audience who's.
Steve. Steve.
Yeah, it was Gabon.
Oh, help me.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Horticulture.
Because Gabon actually has some other good ideas that are reasonable, but not that one.
If there's anyone who's watching now who hasn't followed and who would like to follow, please follow so I can hear the hooray sound again.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Just like hit the follow button so I can be like, hooray! It would make me so happy right now. It'd make me so happy.
Yeah, anyone who does want to follow Tash, because you're finding stuff interesting, or just because you like the sound of our voices, or whatever reason. Probably not.
You do have a nice voice.
So I'm told. So if you want to like the channel, like the account, like the whatever, do it. Maybe that'll be good for you. Steve Carlsberg. Anyway. So yeah. Gabon Mate. That's a shame. What's our next question?
Sorry, I'm just really. That was it. We made it to the end of the questions.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, but we are not leaving. We are not leaving till the skate park is clean. I'm letting you know that right now. I'm sorry. Like that's just. Is there a save feature on this game? Yes, but no. You don't. Just get cleaning. The sooner you clean, the sooner we're done.
I was just panning around slowly, looking at the.
Don't look. Just clean.
You know that thing where you clean your house and you've been working for ages doing something, and then you turn around and you look at the rest of your house that
Well,
is
okay, to
still
be fair,
requires cleaning that you think,
we've done like the
oh god,
hard fiddly bits, right? Like we've done most of the hard fiddly bits. It's just
that's
like
true.
really easy stuff to go. Um
No, that's,
uh is hang on a sec. Is James going to Sweden too? Yes.
yeah, yes, I am. Some well-deserved leave.
Yes, it is well deserved leave. What a year.
It has been a bit of a year.
There's been lots of good stuff, like lots of really good stuff happening, and lots of really horrific stuff happening. And it's
Yeah, lots of extremely bad things.
extremely bad and extremely good and extremely bad. And so it's an average year.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure that that's actually how it works. I'm not 100% sure how it does work. But it doesn't. Given what has happened,
Oh,
it's hard to sort of say that the
sorry,
year
Sil,
has
can you
averaged out
repeat
to
the
be.
question? Maybe I missed it or it possibly got filtered. That happens. Um, okay, we have some more questions.
Great, love questions. Otherwise, I'm just
Uh,
sort of rambling. Oh, that's fun.
uh, oh, here we go. I got it. I got it. I got it. Is there an Ta-da! It's Tamagotchi time. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. That's my Tamagotchi time. Is there an
Are you gonna ask that
AuDHD?
question before we?
Yeah, I am. And I'm just gonna jump to Sil's question first because it was asked a while back. I just missed it. Which I think. Oh, yeah. Okay. Um, is there some reason why? Wait, no. Is there an AuDHD reason my emotions seem to be muted comparatively to others? Yes.
Yes, there is,
I
and
need, I need,
we'll tell you what that
I
reason
need to go to
is.
the bathroom. Oh, you
Okay,
want
I'll
you?
tell you.
I mean, I can. You can leave it for me if you want. I'm just gonna have to wait like a minute.
I mean, I can take it. It's fine. Go to the bathroom. So, a really common occurrence for people with, for autistic people, is something called alexithymia. So, alexithymia is basically, if you can break it down linguistically, so the Greek roots of these words. So, a as in like a motivational or abolition, so not having a certain thing, and then lexi or lexicon, so words, and then thymia, meaning feelings. So alexithymia is when, and this is really, and it's not unique to autism, but it's very common with autism, is having a limited emotional vocabulary. And this doesn't mean having a limited vocabulary specifically. It means because you might know the words, you might be very articulate, but not necessarily intrinsically or instinctively applying the words that you know to your emotional experiences. And this kind of gets back to my point earlier about um, the way language shapes our experiences. And so, if you lack the language to describe your own emotional experience to yourself, it actually impairs your ability to directly experience your own emotions. The issue is, of course, that your emotions actually still exist and they um, can still push you around and influence behavior and sort of get in the way of life if they're not really managed very well. And so it's really important to develop your emotional vocabulary so that you can know what it is that you're feeling. Um,
Have a good night,
the,
Kels.
the,
Thank you for watching.
the experience of being alexithymic often means that you don't feel as though you experience very strong emotions. Your emotions might feel very muted or very blunted. Now, muted or blunted emotions can also be a feature of depression, which, of course, or emotional shutdown or burnout, which autistic people obviously can experience as well. All of those things, including depression. But that is one of the many causes, many potential causes, is alexithymia.
And
So not having that
you can have
emotional.
alexithymia. You can have this weird alexithymia hypersensitivity to emotions, like
Mm.
combination, where you're constantly feeling overwhelmed by emotions, but you don't know what those emotions are. You just feel
Yes.
bad or feel overwhelmed, and like every emotion can feel like a knife in your chest, but nor can you like
Articulate it.
articulate it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also a very common experience with alexithymia as well. Um, and so again, the solution is still the same: to be able to learn how to recognize what emotion it is that you're experiencing, and to develop language around how you do articulate it, even if it's just to yourself, because that helps you to actually experience the emotion in a way where you can know it, recognize what it is, and recognize its effects, which is important and helpful. Because if you can't know what it is that you're experiencing, you can't do anything about it.
Um. On this same topic, is there a reason once I feel an emotion and it passes, I don't really remember how it felt?
Ah, would you like to take this, Tash?
Um.
You don't have to. I can do it.
I mean, like I would. I think certainly in my experience, a lot of the time it's like that's certainly like an indicator of alexithymia.
Yep. Um, so yes, absolutely, that could be an indicator of alexithymia. Um, it's also sometimes to do with, I guess, emotional permanence, right? Which is not dissimilar to object permanence, right? So being able to know that something exists when it's outside of your immediate perception. So, for example, your partner goes into the other room. You don't forget that they exist just because they're outside of your eyesight. Um,
Depends what I'm doing.
so, so you're doing is forgetting that I exist because I'm not in front of you.
It's more like
So
I forget everything
emotional,
exists when I'm focused on something.
yeah. So emotional permanence is this experience that a lot of autistic people have, not necessarily all, but certainly a lot, where, and it does tend to co-occur with alexithymia, where when you're experiencing a really intense emotion, and if you're alexithymic, you might only experience very intense emotions because you don't notice them until they get to the intensity where you can notice them. But you're experiencing like really strong emotions, and in that moment, it feels like that's the only emotion that you can experience and ever will experience or ever have experienced because it's difficult to actually.
Question: is it common in ADHD? Yes.
Yes, yes, it is. So that is absolutely something that can happen there.
Not skipped.
Um,
We're just answering this one
yeah,
because it was
we
like
get, we get, we
immediately
get.
related to what we were talking about. That's all.
Yeah. So, so that emotional permanence can be an issue when you're experiencing the emotion. It's the entirety of your experience. It's the only emotion you've ever experienced, and the only emotion you ever will experience. But then, when you're no longer in that emotional experience, you can't necessarily remember what it felt like because it's not what you're experiencing right now. You can only experience what you're experiencing in the moment. Now, that's extremely treatable. You can build your emotional vocabulary and build your emotional range and learn ways to connect with your emotions, which is important
It's
and
like
a net good thing.
exercising like a muscle almost, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely. It's very possible to do and a very beneficial thing to do because even if you even if you feel like your emotions are blunted, they still exist and they still influence you. And it's important that we are able to have more control over our actions and not necessarily just get pushed around by our feelings. Because if you're acting entirely from an emotional place, and human beings are inherently emotional, we're not logical creatures, we are inherently emotional creatures, and we use logic and reason after the fact to justify our emotional responses. So every decision you've ever made has not actually been logical, it has been an emotional decision that you've used logic after the fact to um, make yourself feel better about.
I need to say two things, please.
Yes.
Firstly, this kind of experience, like this kind of relationship with emotions, it like often co-occurs with having a bad memory, a bad autobiographical memory.
Yeah.
In terms of like, what did you do yesterday? I have no idea. Because like that emotional information is important information for recalling things, right? The other thing, Vic made a joke, but I actually do want to say something about it. In that, in a way, it's a good thing because then I don't feel my traumatic experience as being a first responder. That's kind of what that internal brain system is designed for. Like I know you're joking, but like, removal from emotions is like an actual survival technique that the human brain uses in order to cope with stressful situations. It's just that
And it's
like
helpful in the short term,
it's
but
helpful in
not
the
helpful in
short term. Yeah, it's just not helpful to exist in that space. But it is very protective in the moment, right? Like I didn't think, I just acted, right? Like people say that a lot. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm normally like, even me personally, right? I'm normally like quite deeply affected by everything. But holy crap, I am great in an emergency.
Yeah, like you can be quite profoundly affected by the things that are happening. At the same time, you are also who I would want with me in a crisis. Because you are just incredible at coping with with immediate crises.
And like making
Afterwards, however, there is
quick, clear decisions.
quick
Like
decision.
yeah.
Yeah. Afterwards, however, there is a
A
fallout,
fallout, yeah.
and that is really important to sort of be aware of. So that's those things matter. So yes, Vic, it's a good thing to be able to do short term, but you do still need to be able to actually access and process those emotions, because getting back to the EMDR thing, unprocessed memories, especially of traumatic and painful things, is where trauma comes from.
Just still on the same topic. Is there any way for an outside person to assist someone name and connect with an emotion? Yes.
Yes.
Just copy all of the questions that we're getting. We're getting a whole bunch of questions now.
Okay. Well, it's good. You got a lot of floor to wash.
Yes. Is there a way for an outside person to assist someone name and connect with an emotion? Yes. And I use a few different tools, like actually in therapy, right? A lot of you may have seen an emotion wheel. Yes, there's also, if you just Google emotion wheel, you'll get the results, right? There's also the emotion sensation wheel, and it's a wheel that has the emotion and then lists the physical sensations that often occur with that. And if someone has trouble connecting with an emotion, like a good place to start can be, what are you physically feeling? It's like I might be feeling hot or tight chested or however, in like really severe cases of alexithymia, that person may have poor interoception in terms of what they're physically feeling too. Hey Herms, can you come here? And it can take a lot of practice to even get that kind of information, like connecting to that kind of information. Other things you can do can be really creative exercises can often help with that. So it's like, okay, cool. What's this emotion? I don't know. It's like, okay, cool. If you had to pick a color for it, what color would it be? If you had to pick a shape for it, what shape would it be? Point to where it is in your body if you can. And if they're kind of like, I don't know, it's like, okay, cool. If you had to choose between red and blue, would you say it's more red or more blue? And like sometimes making that binary choice can be helpful for it. And it's like, okay, is it hot or is it cold? Like, is it painful? Like, what kind of pain? Like,
Is it a spiky pain? Is it a burny pain? Is it a achy pain? Is it a twisty or a crushing or something like that?
yeah. Or you can look at what action do you feel like performing right now? Like, what is the urge? Is it to run away? Is it to hide? Is it to shut down? Is it to throw something? Like that can
Breathe,
all, yeah.
shake your fist, whatever.
What is it that you want to do? And you can kind of work backwards from there. And then also with autistic, it's important to note that sometimes it's not actually an emotion at all, really. Like, for example, usually the first indicator that I am too hot, temperature-wise, is that I get angry. Like, why am I angry all of a sudden? I'm too hot. And like that's how I receive the message in my body that I'm too hot. Is I get angry. And like usually by then I'm way too hot. Like, and I've just completely missed the signals, right?
Yeah, because what's actually happening there is the anger is coming from a potentially like a your body has identified a threat that you're overheating, and rather than being afraid of that threat and becoming anxious, you've become angry and want to fight off the heat, which is not a
And
thing you can.
like I get grumpy if I need to go to the bathroom and I haven't realized I need to go to the bathroom even, right? Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes the first indicator that I'm hungry is I'm really dizzy. That's weird. Why? Like,
Yeah.
and like those kind of experiences can be and like and understanding that process can be really important. Like if you have an autistic child too, uh, who like has even like less ability potentially for identifying and communicating emotions. Like it's like, oh, my autistic child is like losing their temper for no reason, and it's like, look,
Well,
just because they can't, just because they can't identify the reason doesn't mean that it's no reason. Like it could be the tag on their clothes, it could be the sound of the dog barking, it could be that they socialized a bit too much the day before.
Yeah.
And just being really aware that like the signals might be getting crossed, you know.
And there's a lot of autistic children who will have a meltdown when they come home from school, having been completely like okay, or having appeared completely okay when they've been at school all day, but then they have like this huge meltdown when they come home, and it's because they've like been exhausted. Their capacity has been exceeded by having to present so well all day at school.
Yeah, I used to have the after school meltdowns like a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
One time actually, this is not a funny story, but it's kind of funny, but it's absolutely not funny. Mum came in because I didn't wake up. Like normally I'd wake up at like 6 every day because 6 a.m. was just the time that you woke up to go to school. It must have been like it would have been like year 5 or year 6. Uh, and she came in. She's like, "Oh, like it's time to wake up." And like the moment my eyes opened, I just burst out crying. And Mum's like, "You know what? Let's take a mental health day today."
Maybe it's not time to wake up.
Maybe that wasn't a funny story, but I think about it in hindsight, and it's like, oh yeah, I was like, maybe we stay in bed today. Like just the moment I woke up, I was just like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
We take the day off today, I think. Okay, let's go back to the order of any tips for late diagnosis grief?
I suppose it's the same tips for all grief, really, which is to allow yourself to feel it. Right? Suppressing it doesn't. Suppressing it's not going to help you. So
like that's going to be the ultimate thing to do, right? Sorry, I cut you off. Please continue.
That's okay.
I just got excited about answering the question.
Well, would you like to take this
one? No, I will put my 2 cents in when you're done.
So I think that ultimately, like grief is, like what you're grieving for is the alternate timeline where you were diagnosed earlier, understood yourself earlier, and therefore maybe could have had access to different supports. Maybe your life could have been better. The reality of the situation is often that had you been diagnosed earlier, maybe that would have been actually terrible. Because the kinds of things that would have happened would maybe have been actively bad for you. Maybe your experiences would have not just been different, would have been much worse. If you were diagnosed earlier. We don't, but the point is we don't know and we can't know because you can't go back in
Thank you,
time to
John.
find out. So I think it is
Really appreciate you saying that.
part of how do you deal with that grief, the same way you deal with any grief. Ideally, not alone. So talking to other people who have had similar experiences and similar grief, other late diagnosed people, and talking about that experience and talking about that grief can be healing in and of itself. But experiencing and processing the feelings because they're valid and you're entitled to them and they are real is probably
Like
one of the most important things you can do.
a lot of people experience like, oh, I got my diagnosis, I can't stop talking about autism and ADHD, and like a lot of that is just like, yeah, you're talking through your grief in a way, right? And
Yes, and it's really hard to stop. Sometimes it is frustrating for other people, but also they can probably handle being frustrated.
and it's just like, I think it goes back to what we were saying the last time we were playing this, is that it's like it's just so important to take the time to like
Take the time to process it. Yeah.
to process it and like really let stuff sink in, that like a lot of stuff which you sort of blamed yourself for and has been blamed on you was actually not your fault and never within your control.
Maybe potentially part of what you're grieving for there is that little kid who struggled who struggled to fit in, who struggled to make friends, who struggled to understand whether or not they were friends, who was bullied without really even knowing that they were bullied, and only found out later in life that, oh wait, no, those people weren't my friends, they were making fun of me. Maybe you're grieving for that kid and their experience, recognizing, wait, it wasn't their fault that they were like this. It wasn't their fault that they had those experiences. It wasn't their fault that they were treated this way. It's just a crappy thing that happened.
Yeah, Vic said that you're grieving a childhood or life that could have, that like where you could have had the supports you needed. It's like, yeah, if you're like 25 or older, like
Maybe
that diagnosis, like if you went back that and got your diagnosis like 25 years before, like you probably wouldn't have gotten the supports you needed anyway, right? Like
yeah,
it's just like like it's a hypothetical.
People who are I've spoken to people who are diagnosed in their 50s and they've sort of had this grief and they said, oh, my life would have been so much different if I
like
had been
what in an
diagnosed.
institution, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you would have been institutionalized almost immediately. Like, it would not have necessarily been great. Like, it actually wouldn't have been better. And that's its own experience to sort of reckon with.
And that doesn't mean that like grief's the wrong emotion there. Like no, grief is absolutely like the right emotion. It's more just like it's because it's really common to feel really angry, like your parents and things like that. It's just like that's not necessarily the place where the anger belongs. Like not necessarily, right? Like it's like
it might be. But
you can be angry and grieving over the fact that like it was just never going to happen, right? Like and like sometimes a bit of like reframing can help, right? Because it's like, yes, okay, you got diagnosed late. You were never necessarily going to have access to supports you needed as a child, but also you're one of the first generations in like history who were able to get diagnosed at all. Like you're one of the first people who could find out, hey, why am I like this? Why does this happen?
And in saying all of this, you're absolutely entitled to the thought and to the belief that it would have been better if I had been diagnosed earlier and had access to supports that I would have needed. The reality of whether or not you would have had access to those or whether or not you would have gotten them.
Thank you for the gift.
You're absolutely entitled to feel that grief and to feel like, yes, it would have been better had I been given the supports that I needed early on. Because it would have been.
Thank you for the follow.
And look, what you're grieving though, like I said, is the alternate reality where that happened.
You know who just followed us? Someone called Nuggy. Someone called Nuggies.
Hooray!
Hooray! Well, that's really fitting.
As someone who is a big believer in the old chicken nuggie, yeah. Good. Thanks for the follow. Love it.
Yeah, but it's like trying to really like reinforce and remind yourself of the fact that like, hey, it turns out there was nothing like in a lot of situations like you weren't doing anything wrong, and like socializing, for example, like was never going to be easy for you. Like it wasn't that you were making poor choices. Like you just weren't born with a brain that can do it in the same way that a lot of other people can. And that's not a personal failure. That's just how your existence happened, right?
Just how it is.
And it's like, okay, cool. You can finally cut yourself a break about that. It's not like, oh my gosh, why can't I do anything right? It's like, no, your brain has been doing the exact thing that it was designed to do. You've been doing the exact thing that you were wired to do, and been doing the best that you can with that, right? Oh, it's Tamagotchi time.
My God, that's so many lines.
Calories. I'm doing calories this time. That is a lot of likes. Oh my God. Thank you. Is there a reason some special interests are more common than others? Trains and dinos. You will notice that trains and dinosaurs are the subject of many children's toys. And a lot of it is they're just like some of the first topics isn't the right word, but it's the only word coming to my mind at the moment. Topics that a child is exposed to and has access to, like information about. Like they are something like trains and dinosaurs, for example. Like there's toys and such that are marketed towards kids. There's books. Like it's a topic that they're able to deep dive about, and that's like generally supported. And the child is given
Also,
the
dinosaur books are
resources.
cool.
Yes, and the child is given the resources with which to like dive into that as much as is satisfying for an autistic child too. Like you can get a dinosaur onesie, you can get dinosaur shoes, you can get like dinosaur toys.
Dinosaur clothes, pajamas, bed sheets, everything.
And so like if you think about like even like more feminine hyperfixations, right? Like you've got like the like the Disney princess stuff. Like it's what's marketed to you, right? Like and it tends to expand and get a bit funkier, as you get older, right?
And because like autistic or not, most children, and certainly most AMAP children, will have a favorite dinosaur regardless of neurotype. Like you could go, like find any child that you have legal access to, and ask them what their favorite dinosaur is. They can tell you.
All right, I'm copying all the questions over. We're just answering them in the order that we received them. So, yeah, and like you do get the occasional outlier.
Sure.
But why are those more common? Like that's why. The other thing as well with dinosaurs specifically is that like hypermobility is really common in autistic kids, and that often leads to it being more comfortable to hold your arms up here like this. Like this tends to be a more comfortable position. You'll subconsciously just do it more often. The old T-Rex hands, yeah, because it can take pressure off of your shoulder joints. If you're hypermobile, it like provides a bit of extra stability, and can be just like more like in general a bit more comfortable. It provides like feedback as well, interoceptive feedback, and walking on your toes, right, is also another like common like movement. And so when you combine walking on your toes with that position, it's like, oh, my kid likes running around like a T-Rex. They must like dinosaurs. Here you go. Like, and and it's something and it's positive social feedback. Like, oh yeah, you're being a dinosaur. That's a normal kid thing. And so like, they do it more and they enjoy it, and and with those really like it can help to cope with those really early feelings of being different, because it's like, I'm not a person, I'm a dinosaur.
That's not to say that like children identify as a dinosaur, because that's not a real thing.
No, but it's just like a child
but-
responding to like positive feedback about that, about a behavior that's comfortable and feels natural for them, right? Like,
so this is the thing, right? The
also
reason
improves your
why
coolness by at least 40%.
hard agree.
Hard agree, yes.
The reason why some special interests might be more stereotypically common is often going to be sociological more than anything else. It's going to be because they're socially sanctioned as interests in some way.
Yeah, Tommy, my cousin. Sorry. Sorry, continue.
Unusual preoccupations aside, right? There's going to be these really big common ones that are because you can get easy access to them, and because you're allowed to be into them. So,
Sorry, I have like
dinosaurs and trains and comic books and like certain kids' TV shows and whatever. Right? These are all socially sanctioned. You're allowed to be into these things at a young age, and then they become more strange the older you get, and the more you're sort of expected by other people to have grown out of the interest. He says with all of his X-Men tattoos. So.
Yes, my Squishmallows in the background anyway. Do you know what the co-occurrence rate of OCD and AuDHD? What the co-occurrence rate is?
The co-occurrence rate? No, I don't know the exact number, but it's.
To be fair, no one does. Because we don't even have the exact number of each of those conditions individually. There's just not enough like data on that. Like we have estimations, but there's just let alone their co-occurrence. But to say that those that OCD has a higher co-occurrence rate with AuDHD than compared with the general population.
That's probably broadly true. I think when you're sort of if I'm assessing somebody who's presenting with OCD traits, right, that's usually an interesting thing because it might not be OCD because autism often does feature ritualized or compulsive behaviors, but are they related to obsessive thoughts, or are they more just about this is the right way to do things, and so therefore I have to do it this way, versus this is a behavior that is designed to neutralize somehow an unpleasant or an intrusive thought. The fun box continues to be dirty, so I'm going to work on that.
Okay.
There's an obvious joke there that I'm not going to make because it'll be inappropriate.
Yes, but the actual answer to your question, Tommy, is you can be hypermobile and do those things without being autistic. Yes. How do you cope navigating shame and guilt around having autism/burnout?
That's going to be a you question because I navigate it by not experiencing it. Oh, that's why, because we haven't done this bit at all.
You found a bit?
Yeah.
Where's the bit? Show me. Oh, yes. Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, that's a big number. I also found another spot as well. Shame and guilt around having autism/burnout. All right. So, like with the burnout, right? Like both aren't a choice, or like being autistic or having burnout, right? Both aren't a choice. Neither of them are like within your control, right? And so, like, if we can, but why doesn't knowing that help, right? Because like I didn't just tell you anything you didn't already know, right? Why doesn't that help? So when like what a pattern you often see with high masking autistics is that they like a lot of the feedback they receive as children is based upon their function, right? Like oh, you're really weird socially, but you're a great artist. You're great learning this instrument. You're and a lot of like that's the only sort of like positive feedback you received from like people outside of your immediate family, or even just your immediate family. That would be sad. I would hope not, but like and so when that function is like stripped from you, because you've entered burnout, your source of like what you've relied upon for your source of self-worth is kind of just gone, right? Like your source of self-worth and like positive interaction, like there ends up being this like association between how I receive love is through my function and through what I do for others, not who I am as a person.
That's also why people pleasing is very high in people with ADHD.
Yes, yes. Being like like overly agreeable, or like being the problem solver for everyone, the person that everyone goes to, right? And so rather than how do you cope navigating shame and guilt, rather than like, okay, cool, how do I cope with these feelings? It's more like, well, it's actually more like fostering a sense of self-worth that's outside of your function, right? Like fostering your sense of self-worth because of just who you are as a person, not what you do. And if you like do that, the shame and guilt tend to like naturally lessen to a degree that's because you're not necessarily gonna like logic your way out of it in terms of like, wow, this isn't within my control. It's like, yeah, okay, I know that. That's being told that's not gonna help. That's my problem. If that worked, that would have worked. It's like telling someone not to worry. Like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that?
What an idea.
Yes. Sec. Yes, the burnout guilt is extremely real. I was in burnout for quite some time before I actually tried to rest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, like it took a really, really long time to
get you to actually rest.
to actually try and rest, where my goal was resting, not like where my goal stopped being trying to get out of burnout. My goal was to rest. And it was actually really unfortunate because like when I like did end up resting, like I ended up being like cripplingly betrayed by a couple of people in my life as a result of that, which certainly didn't encourage the resting. But you know what? We made it to the other end of all of that. Yeah, but that definitely added an extra layer of difficulty onto the just rest Tash. It's like, well, yes, I discovered I discovered the people who were in fact just in my life because of what I could do for them and not who I was. It helped differentiate that, that's for sure. And my life is better off for that. By the by, just saying, had the trash taken out, so to speak. Where are we? What is rest? You know, I only recently worked out what that is. Where are we? There's a few more questions there. How do you know when to really take a break or go to get more extensive help? I mean, if you are in burnout, Tamagotchi time. Thank you. What am I doing? Calories. If you are in burnout, look, burnout is very serious, right? Burnout can trigger autoimmune diseases. It can trigger like health conditions. It can impact your immune system, and it can trigger other health issues that can cause permanent damage, right? And even the mental health impact of being in burnout, like that can be dangerous in and of itself. And so I'd recommend if you're in burnout, you get more extensive help. That's the default. And if you are flirting with burnout,
stop. It doesn't like you.
that you do not mess around with burnout. If you are like, yeah, if you are playing with that line, you're gonna lose. Yeah, you're gonna lose. Like if you're feeling burnouty, that is absolutely 100% the indication that it is time to rest and get a bit more extensive help with that. Yes, like psychosis, for example, like burnout can cause psychosis.
Yeah, but that's real bad. Don't like if you can avoid it, do.
And how do you navigate that? I'm going through it now with my spouse, overloaded by it most days.
Yeah, it's hard. Feel for you.
How do you know what is appropriate help? Because burnout and I are beefing. Appropriate help is when uh, appropriate help is when you are at least stable, right? If you are declining, then that is a very clear indication that the level of help you have is not currently appropriate. Like if you I would describe it as the feeling of like you can feel burnout approaching, right? Like it doesn't hit you out of nowhere. It's like there's a deep sense of I can't keep doing this. Um, uh, if that is looming over you, that is an indication more help is needed. You keep upping it, keep lowering demands and upping the help until that doesn't feel so looming. Uh, either of us opening up our books again anytime soon? No.
No.
No. Well, no.
For exactly the reason that we just spoke about.
That yes. It's and we're very careful with all therapists at Blackbird, because the majority of our staff are openly neurodivergent. We are very, very careful with managing our own staff's burnout cycles. And so we are very cautious with like the opening and closing of books. There's not going to be sustainable help from fellow neurodivergents if we sort of don't do that.
Unfortunately, the reality is that we can help more people longer term.
I'm recording all questions, by the way. We're just answering them either like I'll answer all the questions like on the current topic, and if it's sort of a question not on the current topic, I've put it on a list and we'll get to it after we're sort of done with this topic. No, James is about to enter a break from assessments. The actual performing of assessments, he will still be supervising a large chunk of the assessments from like a clinical level as like principal psychologist, but will not be administering them, just like supervision of like the clinical outcomes in the background. Do you have a wait list while your books are closed? James's wait list is open. My wait list is closed because it's 7 years long.
Too long.
Like don't bother. Oh, have a good sleep at the sleeping place, split peas. Okay. Yeah, so sort of to answer like how do you know what help is enough help or how much rest is enough rest? Whatever sensation you have that burnout is incoming and that you're playing with burnout or that you're in burnout, that needs to like go away. And when it goes away, that means you are at the correct level of rest. That doesn't mean you can start doing stuff again. That means you are at the correct level of rest. And then you rest.
Definitely should be resting.
And when there is just like, say, okay, cool, how do I know when to step it up again? When there is a similar kind of feeling, except in the opposite direction, more of like a deep instinctual feeling that you are ready. Not that you're stable, but that you are ready and that you want to. If it feels like pushing, if the thought of doing something brings you that feeling, that sensation that you're playing with burnout, no, stop, wind it back. And the more you rest, the sooner you can like actually come out of burnout. The more you push, the longer your burnout's going to be. Have a good night, Tommy.
The job has been completed.
I'm not allowed to call it out, like, and just be like, oh, hey, I assessed you, because that's client confidentiality, but you're allowed to break your own confidentiality. I do remember you, Rodrigo. Thank you. There you go. Yes. Okay, where are we? There's a lot of questions. I'm actually going to cut off the questions for the evening as well. So I'm not going to take any additional questions. Whatever's on the list now is what we're going to do, and then we're going to go.
It is getting late.
Yes. That one. Do speech impediments or struggling with sound and stuff, is that common in ADHD and autism? Yes. So for various reasons, ADHD and autism can both cause structural neurological differences in the parts of the brain that process language. And in addition to that, differences in the way the face, airways, and sinus, just anything around the skull, forms, the physical formation, occur, like differences in the way they form, occur at much higher rates in the ADHD and autism community. Very likely due to an association with like connective tissue, but that's not like set in stone, right? That's just like, it looks like the likely theory, but not. And yeah, so lots of differences in the way like the jaw can form and the jaw moves and the muscles and how the muscles all work with like swallowing and things like that. Tongue movements, and so that's why like the speech impediments on top of like the neurological language processing differences, why it occurs much higher rates. You have a very high indication for ADHD and have a very strong memory back to your childhood that it catches others off guard. I mean, having a strong memory, like as in an early forming memory, um, like is um, uh, more common in like certain presentations of autism. Um, uh, but and that's not saying that you're autistic. But anyone can have just a brain that started forming memories earlier. And like certainly with your like your health professionals, like psychologists, psychiatrists, like doctor, like it's important to be honest about that kind of stuff too. Um, yeah, thank you, Sil, for the feedback. Also, like you absolutely don't have to, but if anyone like had a good assessment or therapy experience with Blackbird, or even has like just enjoyed this live, a really good way to support us is to leave like a Google review on our business page profile. And not saying that you have to. Uh, but yeah, that's like a really good way to like really help support our work too. Because like a lot of people, like when stuff goes wrong, a lot of people are really quick to like leave a not so good one. It's like a lot harder to get the
Yeah,
good ones. Yeah, like
statistically, people are more likely to voice their
thank you,
dissatisfaction than they
Ren.
are to voice their satisfaction. So,
Yes.
it is in general better to sort of.
Yeah. So I thought I'd ask. It's just like it does help us. Uh, um, any advice for if you can't afford a diagnosis? Yes. If you like believe that you may be autistic or ADHD, there's nothing stopping you from like kind of testing that theory. Like start building yourself a life that's more autism or ADHD friendly and see what the results are. And if it helps you feel better and if it improves your life, then like does it really matter? Like you've just found a win, right? Like if walking around wearing noise cancelling headphones makes you a happier person, mwah, like it just um uh like test that, operate on that theory for a period of time, and if that's working, then fantastic, good. Like get the wins. Um, if you feel like you've been wearing a bit of a social mask and unmasking like helps improve your life, then fantastic. If ADHD like techniques for sort of supporting executive function are working, great, good, do it, do the thing. Um, uh, and you can explore other kind of options as well. There's some agencies that um, can help sponsor and fund assessments, sort of depending on where you live. I was actually thinking about doing like I don't know, like a bit of a subathon or something to maybe help like raise money for funding assessments, but I don't know how that would be received. I'm only kind of just playing with that idea at the moment.
Then there's also difficulties in like how does one make the decision for
Of
who
like
gets
who gets that, yeah. But
that's hard. That's a hard thing for I think any one person to make that call, and that's really
yeah. So
that's
that's just
reasonable.
like I'm just kind of playing with that idea a little bit. Uh, thank you, Nuggies, for um uh yeah. So yeah, if you can't afford a diagnosis, like operate on that theory, see if it helps you, and if it does, great. Um, Can you be both high and low masking? Yes. It can be contextually dependent. It can be where you're at in your burnout cycle. It can be like you might have the ability
Certain
to
things.
mask more under less stressful circumstances, and that might fall away under more stressful circumstances. And it can even vary based on your diet at the time, like whether you have any vitamin deficiencies. It can vary based on what time of the month you're at. Um, if you're in haver of ovaries, right? Like it's um,
It's it can even vary depending on like there are some things that you might be able to mask, or might feel like you have the capacity to mask very very well, and then other things that you just cannot mask at all.
I don't think it's
So
taken away
even
the
just
custom
within
stickers.
even just within presentation, in terms of like the particular traits and behaviors that someone has, some things might be suppressible, other things might not be suppressible whatsoever. And so it's interesting because you see that we do see that sometimes where it's you see someone who is presenting in specific ways as very clearly autistic, but then in other ways not at all, and that's certainly from my perspective an interesting diagnostic puzzle. Um, but yes, it can. It's absolutely possible.
Sorry, I'm just testing out the. Can you just answer the next question while I'm dealing with a technical issue?
Can you tell me what the next question is?
There's a question about like delayed autobiographical memory in autism. Um, uh, sort of spoke that a bit about that before.
Mm. Yeah, because
Uh,
I don't have access to your list of questions.
yeah, just a question. What about delayed autobiographical memory in autism?
Okay, so by delayed autobiographical memory, I'm going to assume that what you might mean is like not necessarily having clear memories of early childhood, right? And maybe only maybe clear memories of your childhood only kicking in at like say age 12 or something along those lines. Um, so yeah, it could definitely be a thing. Um, so memory is kind of tricky. Um, it is fairly typical of in human development that very early memories from say like birth, right, will not necessarily be recalled past a certain age. Right? Certainly, those memories are usually not even uh, recalled in like sort of infancy and toddlerhood, right? And it's hard to gauge with if something is remembered in infancy because it's an infant. Child can't exactly report its memories. But a lot of people struggle to remember their early childhood, and it might be because there isn't a lot of detail that you need to remember from those memories that you need to be able to recall. It's entirely possible that sometimes those holes in memory, uh, especially if they're quite significant, like memories only kicking in during sort of like late childhood, early adolescence, might be potentially trauma as a factor that can cause delays in memory. Um, the short answer is yes. It could be a factor of autism. The longer answer
Oh,
is
holy crap!
yes, it could be, but also there's a lot of things that it could be otherwise. Um, but could it definitely be a factor? Yes, it could definitely be a factor.
I have no idea why the stickers aren't working. Not for me.
Hmm.
But we got upgraded to like live streaming League D3. We got like leveled up. That's
I
so
do.
good. That's really good news.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for your
I
support.
don't know what that means, but it sounds like a cool thing.
I don't know why stickers on. Boo. What am I doing with my life? Probably okay. Um
21 now, which is a shame
uh
because I think we're wrapping up soon.
yes, 3 more questions and then we're done for the um what happens if grief and trauma are both still ongoing? I wasn't believed, still not.
Yeah, that's really tough. I'm sorry that you're having that experience. That's a hard thing to be going through. In terms of what happens, well, one, you can absolutely validate yourself. Um, Other people's belief would be nice to have, absolutely. It isn't
Thank you for the gifts.
necessarily required for your
Hello, Jessica.
for your experiences to be real, for the truth to be the truth, does not actually require other people's belief in said truth. That's not how truth works. Um, in terms of like, okay,
Thank you, Jessica.
does people's does
It's
people's
nice.
lack of belief contribute to ongoing trauma? Yeah, it might. Um, if there are people who are treating you poorly, I don't know whether it's necessarily the case that they're treating you poorly because they don't believe you. I think that they might treat you poorly even if they did believe you. Maybe. Right? So there's a question mark around.
This is not very
Uh,
practical advice, right? Um,
that's true.
but like, and what I'm about to say is even less practical. Um,
Mm.
but if your current circumstances that you are in are currently traumatizing you, like that is a very good reason to get out of those circumstances. And that's not super practical advice, because like
Yeah, that's very easy to
if
say,
it's very easy
and
to say,
potentially
very
very hard,
hard to
and
do.
potentially very hard to do.
Yes.
Potentially,
Um,
depending on like who you are, how old you are, where you live, your access to resources, any number of different factors, it might even potentially be impossible. Um,
Thank you for the gift,
Hopefully,
Leah.
that's not the case. Um, but yeah, if the circumstances that you are in are traumatic, then we need then something that maybe the best thing that you can do is to not be in that situation anymore. Now, the logistics of leaving that situation are going to be hard for us to speak to because we don't know the details of the situation, and it wouldn't be appropriate for us to give you direct advice there. The best thing maybe might be to see if there is someone in your life that you can trust to talk to them to get help,
Um, uh,
to try to get support. It could
yeah,
be
easy to
your
say, almost impossible to carry out. 34, married, 14-month-old, zero resource. Yeah, very easy to
yeah.
say,
Okay,
very
that's
impossible to
very yeah.
actually. Yeah.
That is absolutely point. That might be an extremely difficult situation to leave, and yeah, do appreciate that because that
Um,
is um
uh, so also just further detail there and again, Tamagotchi time. Calories. I'm going with calories again. Uh, um, I've got a photographic recollection of childhood trauma from at least age 14 plus and nothing before then. That is not medical advice, right? This is not direct medical advice, but that circumstance, like my opinion, sounds like a like very good candidacy for ER.
yeah, and I'd probably recommend talking to if you already have a therapist. I would recommend talking to them about that. If you do
Right.
not have a therapist, it might be a good idea to, depending on where you are in the world, especially if you're in Australia, speak to your GP about getting a referral to a psychologist to talk about that because that is a an indication that something might require further investigation or unpacking, at least in some way.
Um. All right. 2 more questions. And then we are heading off. So the first one is, do you have any advice for avoiding burnout when entering the workforce? Um.
I'll let you take that one, Tash.
Yeah. Uh. Again, some of this is easier said than done. Um. But in talking about how serious burnout is, right, and how much it can impact your life and your health permanently, right? Burnout is a dangerous thing to happen in your life. Um, and so you want to be, you don't really want to be in a workplace that pushes you towards that. Um, so in terms of like entering the workforce, it's like, okay, like a very careful choice of like career, employer, environment. Now that's coming from a very privileged place because you might need to enter the workforce to get money to survive, right? And your survival is at stake there in terms of like shelter, food. Um, but if there's any wiggle room in terms of choice, like that's a really important choice to make. And you do not have to tolerate a workplace that pushes you into burnout. Don't be in that situation unless you absolutely must for your survival. Um, uh, like even um like other sacrifices to your lifestyle, even like financially, in order to say you need a certain amount of money, right? And this and there's like a really like toxic workplace you could enter that will get you that amount of money, but it will absolutely push you into burnout. It's like, okay, cool. Is there anything you can do in your life to lower the amount of money that like changes to your lifestyle there? Um, because perhaps that change to your lifestyle will be less damaging than um, going into a workplace that will push you into burnout, right? So, say, um, for example, uh, there's a place that does not pay as much, but you don't have to catch public transport to get there. Because even something like a commute can be the factor that pushes you to burnout, right? It's like, okay, um, uh, that like you should possibly like consider that, like those kind of like meta changes, or um, might have to move further away from your support network. So if your support network is further away, but now you can enter a workplace that isn't going to push you into burnout. It's like maybe being a bit further away from your support network is the lesser of two evils than going into a workplace that will push you into burnout. Because if you're hitting burnout, then it's very likely you're not going to be able to work at all. Um, and so it's like making that long term sustainable choice, which can be hard to do if you're like entering the workforce. Like, what even is like a good workplace, right? Sort of like if you feel like it is pushing you towards burnout, then like it probably will. And then what will you like? I cannot like understate the seriousness of burnout.
One of the issues with answering these types of questions is that um, there often aren't satisfying
Answers
answers
and like
that
all like good choices.
we
It's
can
like
present,
what's the less
or
crap
good
choice?
choices.
Like yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it's about taking the less crap choice. Sometimes sometimes there are no good options, um, and it's difficult for us to be able to give um, like tailored personal advice in this kind of forum, and wouldn't be right for us, wouldn't be ethical for us to do so. So we're not going to, because we
I
just
do
don't
just
know your situation,
uh,
and that's and so it's, I think it's difficult because the way that society is often set up is
um
that sometimes there aren't any choices.
also, since if you go to our website, you can read a lot about EMDR. Um, I know you're in the US, but we have information on what EMDR is. So if you go to our website, I'll put a little. The website is on. Um, the other thing that I just sort of want to say as well is like it's really important because workplaces can make you feel like, and society can make you feel like you're in a box that you're not, like you're in a cage that you're not actually. Um, do not be afraid to make a really wild change if it's going to, or to consider at least a really wild change if it's going to make your life more sustainable, right? Um,
Or sometimes be afraid and do it anyway,
yeah, be afraid and just do it anyway. Yeah. So, for example, if I was to talk
if
about
possible.
my change from because I used to be Tamagotchi time. Oh my god, this is like very frequent Tamagotchi time at the moment. Holy calories. Water. Um, thing. Yes. So for example, right. I was an engineer before I was a therapist, right? I was in 10 years, and a
Bad
civil
times.
engineer in the construction industry, and I loved engineering, but because of all like the social politics and everything, that was not a career that was sustainable to me. I felt really stuck for a long time because it's like I can't keep doing this, but also this construction company is the exact same as this construction company. I'm going to have the same problems at a consultancy. I'm going to have the same problem at a government job. I can't work anywhere. Um, and but it's like, but I did my engineering degree. I am an engineer. Like, I'm known as an engineer. I don't have any other skills in any other like areas, or like I don't have the education in any other areas. Um, I have to find a way to make engineering work. I did not. Spoiler alert, I did not. Uh,
Yeah, and
sometimes
like, look,
it's like the really, and I had a lot of privilege here, right? I had a safety network with my family in which if I had trouble doing anything else or getting into anything else, they were always there to pick up the pieces, right? So this is like that choice still came from a place of privilege. But I guess my point is that was a cage that didn't actually exist in a way, right?
um,
Um,
in a
sometimes
lot
you
of
have,
ways,
yeah, yeah. Sorry, continue.
in a lot of ways, a lot of people are less stuck than they think that they actually are. Um, it's just that having to make a different choice can often be prohibitively scary, prohibitively intimidating. Might feel very, very difficult to actually do. And I'm not saying that it is inherently possible for everyone to do anything, but it is true, at least on a technical level, that
Thank you for
you
the
don't
gift.
have to do anything. Like you have more choices available to you than you think you do. However, those choices will often come with consequences, um, and new choices to be made afterwards. Um,
I actually sort of want to tell like
and
a personal story here as well, right? Um, uh, a bit more personal than the job one. I think that really like can help sort of demonstrate. Um, because like that decision definitely did come from a place of privilege. But um, uh, I James and I are married, and that's my second marriage, right? And
I'm a
uh,
second.
you're a second husband, actual husband. But my first marriage was extremely, extremely abusive. And when I was with my ex, we had 5 dogs together. Um, and the dogs was like one of the reasons that I stayed like longer than I should, because one thing that he used to say was like, oh, like what's gonna happen with the dogs? Like I can't take care of them. Like I can't leave like the dogs. Like um and like what are you gonna do? Leave the dogs behind? He was like, yeah, I did. Um, we had 5 dogs, and like the night that I left, I knew I had to. I asked mum, like, because it had to be a really quick decision to leave. I asked my mum, how many dogs can I take with? She said 2. So I picked 2 and I left. Um, and that's like, again, it was like the dogs thing was like another bar in a prison that didn't exist.
It's a terrible decision to have to make, but
Yeah, yeah, a really, really terrible decision to have to make. But it's like when you're looking at the difference between like life and death, which burnout can definitely be. It's like sometimes those really out of the box things, those really out of the box decisions, is like that is the choice for survival there. Yeah, and like there's less severe versions of burnout, and there's more, but it's like just you don't want to play with that line because like it can um like really cripple you for a long time. Like people can years and years of their life to burn.
yeah, years, and it's very difficult to recover from. But you have more choices than you think you do. Unfortunately, many choices then require going through the natural outcomes of making those choices, and that's also
Yeah.
hard. But sometimes, you know, choose the hard thing that you have to do. Right? It doesn't matter
Yeah.
whatever choice it is. But like, if all your options are bad, again, it's a bit like urgency. It's a relative term.
Yeah, so say like, oh, I've just spent the last 4 years at university getting this degree, and I've just entered this career, and I know I cannot do this. Um, it's like,
Then
but
don't.
but I can't. Yeah, then don't. Like, then don't. Like, oh, so what? I did my degree for nothing. Yeah, but
Yep.
you're gonna, yeah, like, yeah, like, well, I mean, no, like, you still would have gotten other
A
skills and stuff
bit.
for that, like a
A
bit,
bit.
but like, if that is not an environment where you can live sustainably in, then you
Don't do
must
it.
get out. Because if you do not, then you will eventually be pushed out because your function gets stripped from you.
Eventually, the decision will get made for you by circumstance. So,
Yeah.
okay, I believe there's
Uh,
one more.
there is one more. Is there a term for the intense physical sensations felt by people with AuDHD? Yeah, it's like hypersensitivity.
Hmm.
Uh,
So.
yeah, and it can be there can be stuff that's intense. There can be stuff that's muted, and you can jump between the two depending on like what your
Yeah,
nervous system is
there are things
vibing
that
with
can
that
go
day.
from being muted to suddenly
Like,
extremely intense and
you know,
busting.
when you're petting a cat, I'm like this, actually, where it's like James will be like, just has his hand on my leg, like just like rubbing his thumb back and forth or whatever, and he's like, really nice, and all of a sudden it's like, stop it now, that's too much, you have to move it to a different spot or something. Um,
Mm.
that's not pain, but like it becomes very, very unpleasant all of a sudden. Very similar. It's
Yeah,
just like
because suddenly becomes unbearable, and
differences through
it's
processing.
there's a wonderful book by Kathy Hoopman. Uh,
Thank you for Penguin
Cats
Gift. Thank you for
Forever.
Penguin Gift.
Actually, I'll need to double check the name of the author, but there's a wonderful book called "All Cats Are Autistic," and it is that kind of thing where you can be uh, you can be experiencing some sort of physical sensation and experience it as this is great, this is really nice, I really like this, and then suddenly, no, absolutely not, must stop experiencing this right now. Much like when you're petting a cat and then suddenly, no, get away from me. That's the thing that can happen. So, yeah.
Oh, cool. We streamed for like an hour longer than I was sort of intending, but that was
Yep,
really fun. That was really good.
that was really fun. It
Thank
is
you
now
for.
time for second dinner.
Hey, you know how I'm supposed to give you
Hooray!
notice? You know, I'm supposed to give you notice.
You did. You did. You did a great job.
Can we stream in 2 weeks from today?
I need to actually check my calendar, but possibly.
And
I'm gonna say
can
possibly.
can we film a TikTok for it?
Yes, but we're gonna have to have a conversation about filters.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. No filters.
It's either that or having a long, boring talk about our relationship. So pick the hard.
But I can pick a different filter. You can pick the
You
filter.
could. We'll
You
see
can
what
pick the first of 3 filters.
happens. Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna have a discussion about it. We're gonna have
Okay.
an honest discussion.
Yeah. Completely fine. All right. Yeah, I'm all about that fair compromise. I'll have everyone know. Thank you.
You are. That's true.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. If you haven't already, please follow. We're doing
Yeah,
more
give us a
streams.
like, give us a
Both.
follow, give us a whatever, subscribe. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, and if you if you're enjoying Blackbird Psychology streams, and you'd like to support our work, like another way you can do that is just like leaving us a positive. Well. But thank you everyone, and thank you for all the gifts as well. That's really appreciated, and it's nice seeing this little community growing that everyone's like benefiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Bye bye. Good night.
Bye.